morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning, and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 4 and episode number 399 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day is, as Kit Argosy Akers calls it, Friday. June 7th, 2024. And not sure what kind of day we're going to have at the Beaver Lodge today. It's a little gray. We've got a little bit of everything over the last few days. So we'll just see. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. And no, we did not coordinate.
No, we didn't.
But clearly, it's pretty in pink day. Except our dress looks good. Oh, come on. That was not a great dress.
No. Even by 80 standards, I thought it was pretty terrible, to be honest with you.
Yes. Oh, my God. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today?
It's pretty good. It's kind of similar to yesterday. Quite good. I just I'm not wide awake. I feel like I didn't sleep at all last night. You know how that happens sometimes? That was my I did not feel like I slept a wink. I did. I just didn't feel like it. So it wasn't a good sleep. So yeah, emotionally I'm pretty solid today. I'm just tired. Just tired.
Well, similar, except I actually didn't sleep a week. In fact, going through a little bit of insomnia. Since I woke up to do our show Wednesday, I think I have gotten a total of 3 hours sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not good.
For some reason, I look good.
Yeah.
I don't know how. And for some, right now, I'm about 5:45 to about 6:30 this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, God. But I can't sleep now because I'm so tired. I will go right through the alarm. About I don't know, 15 minutes ago, I must be on my sixth wind now.
Yeah, probably.
I blew past second wind about like 30 hours ago. But yeah, right now feeling good. So hopefully I won't trip over
Crash
my
too hard.
tongue. But essentially, I am the equivalent of drunk right now.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. Yeah. When you have, yeah, the difference between that though, the difference between somebody who is drunk and somebody who is just very tired is a very tired person knows that, okay, I should go lie down, or
Yes.
or you can wake up, right? Whereas a drunk person can't just get sober or make the decision to, I should go lie down. You know, usually, you know what I mean? Your decision
Mhm.
making is not usually the best when you're intoxicated. But anyway,
Yeah.
I have something to share with you.
Okay.
Just a quick little thing. I'm going to put
Yeah.
a screen here.
Ooh. Oh my God, that's 383 new subscribers over the last 28 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, kits and cubs, we have surpassed 1,000. Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And boy, have we ever surpassed 1,000. We're at 1,150 already. So thank you so much. That's all you. So and you know, a little advertising and
Mhm.
you know, promo by Mr. Grizzly and stuff, but actually a lot of that. But no, seriously, it's you
Shorts,
joining.
promos, ads, and
Yeah,
people. Yeah,
and
spreading the word.
we are really grateful because this means that I would assume if we read the rules correctly, that when we get
Yeah,
to
yeah. We're
1,000,
monetized now.
that we're monetized just for
Legit.
existing. So, but the more people view, stuff will come in. It's not going to be a big amount, but you know, anything's better than a kick in the teeth, right?
Mhm.
Every bit helps. So, but yeah, we're on our way, I guess. Like this is it's the last milestone, right?
Yeah.
For monetizing. So yeah, this is it. We're now. I guess we're officially a thing. So on YouTube, that's pretty darn exciting. It's kind of weird. It's just kind of weird. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I mean, we believed in it. We knew it could happen. You put in the work. Trust me, we've put in our 10,000 hours, and then some. Um, especially if we count back to the blog, just the blog days. Definitely put in some 10,000 hours. So, but you know, and inspiration meets perspiration meets preparation meets a little luck, and you know, we got some lightning in the bottle when Mr. Grizzly had that moment during the convoy, which essentially led us to be uh, the beautiful actress, aspiring actress at the soda fountain who got discovered and cast in a movie.
Sure, that's one way to put it. I never thought of that.
It's almost like there's like some protesters came to town, occupied it about the fifth day. I got so pissed off that I went out in the street to decide to teach them about civics, and next thing you know, we have a show.
Well, we'd already had a show, but
We
yeah.
have national coverage,
Yeah.
carriage. So it's like, you know, listen, everybody takes a weird road somewhere along the way to get to where you are, where they are. So ours is strange, but we're glad that you were on the ride for us, on the ride with us, and we hope that you stay with us for a very, very, very long time because, well, I like to collect kits and I'd like to collect them all,
Mhm.
and I don't trade.
Okay, so you're not
I will not
an
trade my hockey
NHL
cards.
general manager.
I won't trade my hockey cards. I just want to collect them all.
Understood.
and
Yeah,
then
it's like me.
and then hold them.
Me with records. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to trade? No.
Nope. Nope.
No, I
You
don't.
could borrow like this, but
No, no.
not
No,
trade.
you can't borrow. Oh shit,
Oh,
no.
okay.
No.
I've exchanged traded
No. I do
but
not loan out my vinyl.
well,
Nope.
no, not your vinyl,
Nope.
not
Not
the
happening.
vinyl.
I don't even loan out CDs or movies or anything anymore. I've lost too many of them that I loan them out and never get them back. So it's like, no. Could I borrow that movie? No.
Hmm.
Google it. It's available on a streaming service somewhere. Well, that's not very nice. I don't give a shit. I've lost too much to things like, well, I'll give, I've heard that before.
Mhm.
I've heard that before. I'm sorry. I'm sure your intentions are very good, but I'm not losing any more of the stuff that I worked damn hard for to pay for.
Mm. Yeah.
It's
No,
as simple
makes
as
sense.
that.
That makes sense. That's the. It hasn't happened to me with albums and stuff like that, but it has happened with books.
Oh, yes, same thing. Or you loan a book to well, and you know how I am with my stuff, right? How it's like my ADHD, OCD thing. It's like
Mm.
I buy a book, I read the whole thing, I put it on the shelf, and it looks like it just came home from the store and it's been there 20 years.
Right.
That's how I don't crack the spine. I'm very. It's the way the brain works.
Yeah.
And I've loaned books out to people, and they've gone on vacation, come back and hand it to me, and I'm like, "Did you throw it in the goddamn ocean? Like,
Mm.
what did you do to my book?
Yeah.
Keep it. I don't want it. I'll go buy a new copy." They're like, "What?" And I go, "That is not what I gave you.
Right. Yeah.
If you can't respect my a pocketbook,
Yep.
you don't respect me." So
Yep.
no.
Yep. I hear that. Yeah. I hear that.
And I get that from my mom. That's where I get it from. It's true. I get that from my mom.
I see.
And you know what? I make no apologies for it.
Hey,
I make no
no.
apologies for it. I take care of the things I've worked hard to earn money to purchase.
Yeah.
And if I loan it to you, I expect you to grant me that same thing. Because if you loan me something, it's coming back in better shape. I'm not kidding. Like, I've had people go, "Here, bro, take my car for the weekend. I know yours is in the shop. You can use mine. I don't need it. I'm going here," or whatever. I'm like, "Thanks." So I take it. I use it. I do the thing. I bring it back. I detail it top to bottom and fill the tank.
Mm.
It's coming back better than the way you gave it to me.
Yep.
That's just how I was raised.
Yep. Absolutely.
Anyway,
And it's a
sorry,
nice
that
way
was
of
a bit
saying
of a
thank
rant.
you. It's a nice way to say thank you for
I think so.
allowing me to borrow your car. Right.
Yes, Linda, I like this.
What?
Linda's never trust anyone who bends down pages instead of using a bookmark.
Oh, for some people, those may be fighting words. All right. And yes, Kit Michael, I did see that. Yeah. And yes, I could understand how me wanting to collect them all could sound a little creepy, but I said it with a big smile and sunshine in my voice. So I think
Yes.
I'm okay. Rather than, I like to collect them all and keep them. Anyway.
I have a quick one from Theo Moudakis I want to put on the screen here. It's a tweet from him. It's a response to a tweet, actually. It's really funny. Dude, it's like, that's about the size of it. I'll put this on the screen really quick. And here we are. And I'll read it for the folks listening at home to the audio version. So, Apothigmata, I don't know who this person is, replying to Theo says, "The central bank cutting interest rates is not a positive economic indicator." And Theo's response is, "Peonons are still crying about how lowering interest rates is a bad thing."
Yeah. All right, let's open with that one since we're at it.
Yeah. Well, and it is because of Theo's cartoon. I can show you that. Have you seen?
Oh yes,
this?
please. No,
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything.
Okay, it's good. Hang on, I'll bring it up on the screen here if I can get it to load.
Oh
boy!
so,
There we go. Here we are. This is the cartoon from just the other day. Here we are. Yeah, this is good. It's Pierre Poilievre outside of the Bank of Canada.
Okay.
Lousy positive economic indicators.
Okay.
This is thought bubble.
Leave it up there because that's perfect.
I think so.
Okay. Now, Kits, if you've been with us for a while, what is the one thing I've always said about Pierre's path to becoming prime minister? Time is not his friend.
Mm-mm. It's not.
He ran for the last year and something. Oh, a little more than that, I think, on the interest rates and inflation. Inflation is now in the target range that the Bank of Canada needed to start lowering interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
And now interest rates are being lowered.
And this was all told to us by economists and people who are much smarter than me who said this is what we need to do and this is what will happen. And look, lo and behold.
And it is what happened. Now, and yeah, he peaked too soon. Exactly. And because we're emerging from the worst financial crisis and worst health crisis
Hmm.
simultaneously
Yes.
without a recession.
Yes.
Economic growth in the first quarter was 1.7%. I mean, that's not firing on all cylinders, and it was slightly
No.
slower than I think predicted, because I think the OECD was predicting 1.8 or something. I'm not too sure, but slightly slower than predicted, or maybe even it was a little more than 2, but slightly slower growth than predicted. It was exactly what the Bank of Canada wanted.
Hmm.
And while now interest rates are going down. Now, right now, it's just 0.25%. This was announced by the governor, Tiff Macklem, on Wednesday. It's not a lot. It's essentially, somebody did the math on $100,000 of mortgage. Per $100,000 of mortgage, it's about $20. Right? So if you happen to have a $300,000 mortgage, you'll be saving $60 a month on your payments. Most of the major banks and credit company, credit unions and stuff like that have followed suit and have forwarded the 0.25%. Now, right now, it's not a big windfall, but it's the start of something. And the thing that's really interesting is that prior to Wednesday, uh, the general consensus within the economic community was that there would be 3 interest rate cuts this year and probably 4 next year. 3 this year and probably 3 next year, right? Or 4 next year. And by the end of 2025, we would have 6 to 7 interest rate cuts. So let's say 6 for about 1.5% down. So it would bring us to 3.5%.
Hmm.
Since the rate was cut, and the governor of Bank of Canada, when asked in an interview, how close was it? It wasn't close at all. It was a unanimous decision from the board. All the governors of the Bank of Canada
Right.
determined that the conditions were right. So not even close. So they were so confident that they were able to do that. Now that some of the analysts are now saying that it might be 4 rate cuts this year rather than 3, and potentially 5 next year, like this, but most likely 4. So if we got to 8 rate cuts by the end of 2025, that would be a full 2%. So we'd go back to about 3% in a Bank of Canada rate, which would translate to about a 5%. And the mortgage rates around the 5%.
Right.
And that's probably as low as we'll go.
Hmm. I can't see it going
Ish.
back to 2008 numbers. Although I did.
Well, those weren't healthy.
No. And although I did see something the other day where I was discussing with a couple of colleagues about how apparently they're doing zero down mortgages in the U.S. again. I'm like, isn't
Oh,
that what led to
no,
2008?
no.
That is a really bad idea.
That's a really bad idea.
It's a really bad. That is what caused the world to crash in 2008.
You know?
I thought that didn't they put legislation in place after that to not allow that?
Yeah, they tried to, and then I think the Republicans repealed some under Trump of it.
Of course,
the whole
they
Dodd-Frank
did.
stuff.
Yeah.
So
I just sent you something in the DMs on Twitter that I don't know if you saw it or not, but it falls right in line with what we're discussing right now.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. So we have this thing going on where the governor of Bank of Canada and the whole board of governors is pretty confident. Odds are that there'll be another rate cut in July, and then I'm guessing probably if that keeps going, probably in September, and probably something else. Now we are in a weird situation because, as we mentioned on the show a few times, that a decision from the Bank of Canada takes about 2 years to work its way through the economy. So at the moment, our economy is going through an interesting thing that some of the rate increases that have been put in to bring us up to 5% still haven't been 2 years ago. And now we're putting them down. So we have this, there's going to be some, how would you put it? A little turbulence at the top end of it, in the sense that there's there's the pressure of certain rate cuts still going up as we're starting to introduce a pressure or a counter pressure of rate cuts going down. But that one's just at the beginning because, like I said, it's only been in the system for 2 days and it takes 2 years to fully work itself in.
Yes.
So we're going to have this thing for a while where the two forces are essentially going to be trying to cancel each other out a little bit in that sense. So this is really good news for Canadians. And of course, well, in come the Conservative Party of Canada with the hour of dower.
Mm-hmm.
Because they cannot be happy if Canada is doing well.
Well,
they need Canada to fail. That's why they're talking about Canada being broken all
course.
the time. That's why they're talking about like this. They need for you to feel like you are failing for them to win. So if interest rates start going down and food inflation is below core rate of inflation and wages are still growing at 4%, but food inflation is only growing at 1.7 and regular inflation is at 2.5, and you're starting to, climb back up the hill a little bit. And now all of a sudden, instead of interest rates going up, interest rates are going down. So as they go down, you're suddenly finding yourself with more money in your pocket and breathing a little easier than you weren't, having to chops and for more luxuries. As you're going into that last year, the election, year and a half, when PP has been spending the last 2 years telling you how everything's going to hell in a handbasket.
Well, one of the
but your interest rates are going down. The messages are not going to jive, right?
One of the things that the cons are pushing right now is just like, so I'm just going to give you a quick comparison. Canada's running deficits right now at approximately 1.4% of GDP. Yep. The U.S. is running deficits above 6% of GDP. It's almost like fiscal stimulus is good. The Americans are outperforming us. There's no question that Canada's economic productivity is falling behind the U.S.
Yep.
But
and we know the reason for that.
There's a broader lens here. It's like all other G7 countries are falling behind the Americans. Why? Because their economy, the U.S. economy, is far more heavily levered to tech. And tech is what's driving almost all of the productivity gains right now. What is Canada's economy most heavily levered to? Oh, right. Commodities, especially oil and gas.
Rip it and ship it.
Yeah.
Pull it out of Mother Earth, stick it on a train or stick it in a tube and pat yourself on the back for being smart. No value added, no transfer, and then buy it back at 5 times the price as a finished product.
Yeah.
Yes. And we've been doing that now for how long?
Yeah.
And then we're surprised that other nations have passed us. Yes. But as you mentioned, the U.S. is because they're tech laden. What has our prime minister been doing?
Yes.
EV batteries, EV channels like this, vaccines, therapeutics. Just announced, another vaccine plant last week, and the Moderna one has opened. So both of them, the Moderna is not producing things yet, and the one that's been opened is not producing things yet either because they have to operate the facility and have the quality checks and the sanitation checks to make sure that if there's any areas that need to be sterile that they actually are and do that, and they run tests and tests and tests and tests because it's vaccines. Right.
Yeah.
Like the production standards are kind of high, so that's got to be happening for a while, and then I think around 2026, 2027, some of them will start to be producing vaccines. But you got Pierre doing that thing again. Well, none of these have actually produced a vaccine. Yeah, because they have to go to the quality controls testing before they start making. You can't just build a factory and then start pumping out vaccines. There are a couple of extra steps along the way.
He thinks everything is digital. On or off. No. There's analogs here that take place. Build it, get it up and running. It takes time. It's like all the cons freaking out about 200 jobs at the battery plant are from foreign nationals. Why is that? Because they have to train us how to do it and run it and make it work. That's not out of the ordinary because we send people to other parts of the world to do the same damn thing.
Right.
All the time.
Yes, these are explicit terms in our free trade agreements.
Yeah.
When there's a new technology or whatnot like this, we give you a special temporary foreign worker permit to come on like this and train people in Canada to be able to do the same thing so that you can go home and we can do it for ourselves. And when we have a technology and expertise, we
Vice
do that
versa.
too. It's reciprocal.
But he won't admit to that. Right?
I guess, and they're the ones that put it in the deal.
I know.
When they were in government, they're the ones that made that brought
like,
those terms in. They're the
really?
ones that
Like,
added
really?
that to the free trade agreements. So I know.
Seriously?
They'll complain about the sun rising if it
Of
makes a
course.
Canadian happy.
So
Like,
I'm reading here.
they're even finding a way to screw up the Stanley Cup playoffs, right?
Oh, yeah.
For
Well,
us. Suck the joy
we'll
out of
dig
that.
into that in a second. But
Yeah.
I'm just learning here, Canada's big 6 banks are adding billions of dollars to their emergency funds as mortgage renewals approach for more than 3/4 of homeowners.
Yes. So there's and that's where Pierre might still have an advantage, because though inflation is going down,
Mm-hmm.
yes, and though interest rates are going down, yes, I have a variable mortgage.
Yes.
Because so I suffered already. Now
Yes.
I'm starting to get the
Yours
rewards.
yours went way up, right? You almost doubled?
Almost doubled. I didn't double, but almost.
Oh, it
Almost.
halved, right? Wasn't it 40% increase?
It was definitely more than half
Yeah.
by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. 46. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely more than half.
So
maybe about
let's just
60,
say
let's say 60%.
60%. So let's say, in arbitrary figures, your mortgage payment is $1,000 a month and you're budgeted for that. We're going to add another $600 on top of that. Oh, wait a minute. What? Excuse me?
Yeah.
$600 just to keep a roof over my head on top of the. Whoa.
That's what I spend on food for myself in a month.
Yeah. That's like a huge increase. Massive increase.
So yeah, it's a massive increase. I mean, it came at us fast, and the governor of the Bank of Canada does have some egg on his face, because when the COVID thing hit, he actually did say that these interest rates would be low for a long time. Now, I don't know if in banker speaks 3 years is a long time, but a lot of people took that to the bank as saying, you know what, hey, let's go get a mortgage. And in that interview, the governor of the Bank of Canada, and he spoke on behalf of all the governors, did acknowledge that they maybe didn't handle that portion as well as they could have, and that they completely understand why Canadians would be upset and angry with them because of that. So they're not suffering from lack of awareness.
No.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they went, because there was a lot of pressure saying, hey, you went, not that you went too early, yes, but you raised them too fast and you raised them too high. Because you didn't need to go that far. So stop ragging the puck and just start making the cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Canada is the first of the G7 economies to have reduced theirs. Switzerland did it in March. And now I think the Central European Bank just announced, I think yesterday, that they had started cuts as well. The United States is probably not yet going to do them until at least September, and possibly even November, because in the United States, inflation is rising. When you said, stimulus is good, well, yes, their economy is growing. They're getting the stimulus, but they're also getting the inflation with it. I think they're still in the 3% at the moment. So for us, PP will still have your mortgage argument, because 3/4 of Canadians are going to be renewing over the next while. Now they won't be renewing at maximum anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, it will get better, but everybody's going to see a jump. But everybody is going to see a jump, right?
Yeah.
And you have to understand that having a Bank of Canada rate of somewhere between 3 and 4%.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually healthy, because when a recession does come, there is some room to cut, and you don't go into negative interest rates, right? Starting to pay people, right, to take your money. So
we've seen that before. That's not good.
We saw it with oil during the thing, right? We all stopped driving because we're sheltering at home, but those things didn't stop pumping, and then it was sort of like this: we will pay you $35 a barrel to store it someplace, because there's no place left to store it. Everything we got is full, because we can't just stop pumping, because we don't know when we're going to have to pump some back. And while it's pretty easy to take some oil offline, it takes a long time to bring it back online.
So Cassie's comment here, my parents built our new house in 1982 and had to lock in at 19% for fear of going higher. I think it hit 22%. Yes, and I do remember those days.
I remember those days.
It's like now that was a crazy high interest rate for a mortgage. Yes, no question about it. There is a difference here, though. There is a difference here. A cost of a home was not 200 to 300 times your annual salary. Right? Like right now, if you earn $100,000, the average home price is like $1 million in the major cities in Canada, right?
Mm.
Average is $1 million. So that's 10 times your salary.
Yeah.
10 times your annual salary. And, let's be realistic here. You're only taking home 60,000 of that, best case scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now it's a little more than 10 times your salary because of what your take home is. You got to put it all into perspective. But back then, so maybe your salary was, let's say in 1982, maybe let's say your salary was $20,000. A home price back then was double that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, and that's why we got lucky here, because ours is about, if I was doing it alone, about 5%, 5 times my salary. But since we're two, it's about 2.5. So,
which is decent, right?
Yeah, because we bought it as a couple.
It's reasonable. It's reasonable. But I remember my parents.
We really lucked out on the price here.
Well, when my parents bought their first home, I can't remember. I don't recall what my dad's salary was at the time. He was a sergeant in the Air Force, and this was 1984 when they bought the home. And we had to sell it in 85 because we got transferred. First home they ever bought, they had it for not even a full calendar year. But it was, I think it was under 50,000. I think it was about 40 or 40. I'd have to ask my mom about that. But you put it into perspective. This was on like a big front yard, huge backyard. We had a wood stove. We bought 10 cord of wood, cut it, split it, and stacked 10 cord of wood in the backyard, and still had 2/3 of the yard available. To give you an idea, it was a split level home, fully finished. Well, actually, not a fully finished basement. The basement was split in half. One half was fully finished with a rec room and then a bedroom. That's where my bedroom was. And then the other half was there's a workshop, and my dad put the bar in there, and then he put an archway in and expanded into there because that's where the wood stove was. And that we heated the whole house with that thing. That thing was amazing. But yeah, that was 1984. So that's 40 years ago. The cost of a house 40 years ago compared to today. So in this, sure, it was in small town New Brunswick. Let's put that into the mix. But in 1984, the price of a home in Toronto was still within reach for the average person. In 1980, a person earning minimum wage could save enough money to get a down payment to buy a house. That is a fact.
Yep.
That's a fact. That is not even thinkable today.
Oh, no, God, no.
It's not even thinkable.
No, geez. No, that ain't happening. As in most younger people, even if they're getting a house, it's because they're getting a portion of it from the bank of mom and dad.
Yes.
To help make it like this, and then whatever arrangements they're making. Sometimes it's a gift, sometimes it's a repayment thing. But yeah, I mean, it's it's not easy. Like I said, when those were the kids who were watching the show when maybe Beaver, Sweetie, and I were looking for houses. There was at one point I broke down in tears. I think after like the first or second day, because we were sitting there. Well, here's our budget, and it's like, wait. You're saying that we can't even afford to buy the crack house?
Yeah.
Like the shopping cart is actually in the laneway, and there's tarps in the window, and that's $30,000 over our budget. Yeah. Really? And we're two.
That's pretty scary. Yeah, and let's not forget what your partner does. He's a PhD.
Yes.
They pay those guys pretty good.
Well, yeah, but at the time that we bought the house, he had finished the PhD, and we were in COVID, so he
couldn't.
The teaching jobs hadn't.
There was nothing available at the time.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. Yeah.
So he really him, once he graduated, his income source just stopped. He had no income.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I don't know for PhD.
Well, no
doctors.
income. There was CERB, but that of course, the government programs, but there was no income.
No. But what I was going to say was a friend of mine, when she graduated from medical school, so she's a GP. When she graduated from medical school about 16 years ago, something like that, she went into the bank and said, "I need a line of credit to get started because I just got out of med school." They go, "Oh, you're a doctor?" She goes, Yes.
Yeah.
They go, "Oh, well, would you like a mortgage? We'll give you $750,000 mortgage based on your diploma, your degree." I'm like, she was like, "What?" No, I need like a $10,000 line of credit just to get stuff. Like, I just moved here. I need to furnish my home and blah, blah, blah. Oh, no. So they gave her a $100,000 line of credit. She's like, "I don't want that much."
Mm-hmm.
But they offered her a $750,000 mortgage, zero down mortgage, just because she's a medical doctor. I'm like, that. I mean, she's still got student debt to pay off.
Yeah.
It's paid off now, but at the time, because she just graduated, it wasn't a tremendous amount of debt. Like some med students come out with $150,000 in debt, and a lot of them, what they do is they spend the first 2 years doing locums, because they make really good money. It's not pleasant because you move to the middle of nowhere, far away from your family. You don't know anybody, and sometimes the situation can be a little not safe.
Right.
But another friend of mine who's a doctor, she paid off her student loans within 2 years by doing locums. She did locums for 2 years straight, paid off her student loans. So she's free and clear, right?
Yeah.
Now that's 15 years ago. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is they're handing over $750,000 to somebody who doesn't even have a job yet, all because they're a medical doctor.
Yep.
I'm like,
it's
and that's
like,
15 years
we
ago.
We know you will get a job, and and it's going to be, and it's going to be stable,
that's the thing.
And it pays well.
It's a given, right? It's a given. And at one point in time,
we have a doctor shortage.
At one point in time, I don't know if it's still the case, but if you were a member of the Canadian military and you went into the bank to buy a car, and they go, "Oh, you're in the military? Okay, no problem." Like that was basically it.
Yep.
They would just, how much do you need? What kind of car do you want? Now, it's different for homes, of course, because there's more money involved. But for a soldier or an airman, I say airman, but my father, anyway, somebody in the RCAF or the Royal Canadian Army or whatever the case may be, the Royal Canadian Navy, literally, it doesn't matter what your rank is. They will just hand you money to buy a car or a line of credit so that you can get your dwelling, your PMQ or whatever outfitted. Because they know, oh, well, and your career, you're going for career? Oh, okay, well, you're going to be there minimum 7 years usually, like you sign your. So they know they're getting their money back.
Oh yeah. It's a pretty safe bet. All right. So I think that was pretty much I had for that the economic stuff. So, like I said, for the interesting thing for the conservatives here in this case is that they said, because they need for us to be doing terribly, and they need for you to feel that your life is harder. Yes, the interest rate could go down to zero. They won't celebrate.
Yeah.
Right. So, but trust me, it's like with every rate cut, PP is spitting more teeth.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Listen, this does not help them.
I got to jump.
Okay.
I got to head into the office, but we're not ending the show. No, we're not ending the show.
No.
I've got to head into the office because I have a meeting that was scheduled for 8:30, and I got an email at 6 a.m. saying it's been moved to 8. So I'm going to head into the office. I'll get that taken care of, and I'll meet you on the other side. I'll come back shortly. All right.
All right.
So I'll see you all real soon. I promise.
Okie dokie. All right, kids and cubs. It's just you and I. How you doing? You're looking good. Mr. Grizzly's not here. Let's talk about him. No. Okay. All right. Now, the other interesting things, unfortunately, won't be able to show you the clips while Mr. Grizzly is away. But yeah, that NSICOP report, things are becoming a little more interesting. Yes, Kit Michael. Radio silence from the PCs on two fronts: interest rates and foreign interference. Indeed. Interest, actually silence from a lot of things because, as we remember, right, we're actually not allowed to know what their platform is or their policies and stuff until actually the election, where we'll get all of like 36 days or something like that to think about them, as every day there's a new policy coming on. So no real time to actually analyze them or discuss them or research them or anything like that, right? They've got all this runway, but that we're not allowed to know. So we're not allowed to know. They won't speak about their plans. They won't speak about their policies. They won't speak about their projects. They won't speak about their platform. And, they didn't want to speak to the Governor General when he was, the former Governor General, when he was looking into the foreign interference thing. They didn't, they just, for some reason, don't want to speak. They don't want to say how they feel about capital gains. And now, with foreign interference, well, they don't, they seem to not, well, they didn't want to speak at all at the beginning. Now they can't shut their mouths because they found their little narrative. But when it hit on the, I believe it was the 4th that it hit, Sarah Fisher, who is the Director of Communications for the Conservative Party of Canada. Well, she's a pretty prolific tweeter, right? She tweets several times. Often it's a lot of reposts, but, she shows up on my feed a lot. She has a lot to say. And, well, June 3rd was Pierre Poilievre's birthday. So I think somewhere around like 6 in the evening, she had posted something under her name, wasn't a retweet, about him. And then the poop hit the fan on June 4th. And if you actually go to her Twitter feed at Sarah Fisher, Fischer, and I think 2 underscores is her Twitter handle, you will see that she has not a tweet at all, like 0, under her name on the 4th of June. The day the news hit. And then on the 5th of June, she did not have one under her name. She had retweeted 1 or 2, but she did not have one under her name until I think maybe 6 o'clock in the evening or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was for the party that never shuts up. They went very radio silent very quickly, including their Director of Communications, which is very curious because, as you know, kids and cubs on the show, new behavior is something that catches my eye. We have the alleged law and order party, the alleged tough on crime party, so tough that, to the police chiefs, he promised that he would use the notwithstanding clause to, curtail our civil rights, our constitutional rights. So you would think when a report that alleges that there are witting parliamentarians putting either their own personal interests or the interests of another nation above those of Canadians, so either their own interests with the help of another nation or the interests of another nation, and that some of them are witting participants. They're open to the offers, or they're seeking them out, or they're gleefully accepting them when they come. Is very, 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 very disturbing. It's a bombshell. It's probably one of the biggest scandals when names are eventually found out, if they are eventually found out. And they have nothing to say. They're not blaming Trudeau, but they blame Trudeau for literally everything. Like literally everything. I stubbed my toe. Damn you, Trudeau. I dropped my ice cream. Damn you, Trudeau. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed and the bed's against a wall. Damn you, Trudeau. So we're talking about potential treason. And they sure love to use that treason, that word treason. I mean, they accuse him of it all the time. But now we actually get some potential real treason. And like I mentioned the other day on the show, sudden onset acute mutism. They've got nothing to say. And then we get to question period on the day. And they ask not a single question about it. Not a one. On the 5th. The NDP asked a question. The Bloc asked a question. Some Liberal MPs were asked questions by the press and the media and decided to blow past them or not answer them, those questions. Some MPs did. Nate Erskine-Smith did. But we have video, I would show it to you if Mr. Grizzly was here, two Conservative MPs, just as they're about to go into a chamber, being asked by two journalists, the questions, and just like walk right by them like they were training for the Olympics. It's like, doo-doo-doo, very busy, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And it seemed that was the theme of the day. So the Director of Communications has nothing to say. The Leader of the Opposition has nothing to say in question period. And let's not forget that the Leader of the Opposition loves to use question period as a backdrop for clips. And he did use it as a clip. He asked a question about the Auditors General's report, which, had some pretty bad stuff. And hopefully we'll have an opportunity to go into that because there's just been so much news from somewhere else. I haven't even had a chance to look at that one yet. But he didn't ask a question. That was his lead question. It was about the Auditor General report, which on any given day would be the proper lead question, except we found out treason. This is the guy that yells, that screams, that hams it up, that makes videos, that has no problem blaming all the problems of the world on Justin Trudeau and loves to use QP as a backdrop, and he's doing none of his standard usual things. I think that's weird. The Liberals are doing the same, what you would expect Liberals to do in this case. But the Conservatives are going completely against script. So that's odd. And when that's odd, my head snaps in that direction because that's what I want to look at. Why are you not doing what you usually do? So then we get to the 6th, which is yesterday. And, the first question, a question period, which Pierre asks in French, has to do with this. And he doesn't even open with his starting lie after 9 years of Justin Trudeau, because it hasn't been 9 years of Justin Trudeau yet. So we're in the 8th with the 9th about to finish. So, the 8th with the 9th. Sorry, I'm tripping over on my tongue. We're in the 8th. Like this, the 9th is to come. But he keeps on talking as if 9 have already happened. So that's always his opening lie. Doesn't open with that. No fire. No passion. Just sort of slides question. And, I mean, so nothing really. that dumb Nick LeBlanc got up and totally owned him. And then he gets back up and asks his first question in English, which standard operating procedure is usually the same question they asked in French. But he doesn't ask the same question. His question in English is about some environmental fund that they're calling a slush fund, like they call everything a slush fund. That was it. He asked the question in French. No, and that's why we will axe the tax, cut the crime, punt the rent, stick the dick, whatever. None of that. What?
Stick the dick.
Stick the dick, kick the prick, whatever. Jeez. Roll your bowl. Whatever. Verb the noun. But yeah, nothing. This is all extremely abnormal behavior for this party. I mean, they've never met a molehill they weren't willing to turn into a scandal that would demand his resignation. They've got the juiciest thing possible, and they're not. So that made me curious. And Andrew Coyne, I know. I can't believe I'm saying it either, but Andrew Coyne had a good day and wrote a decently good piece. And there's actually some really interesting insights in it that may explain why is it
Broken clock,
that,
right?
Yeah, well, broken clock, but why it is that all the parties seem to be on the same page with regard to keeping things as quiet as possible. At some point in the next few weeks, some members of Parliament, okay. I also want you to listen to this because Andrew Coyne here is being a very, very, very clever little bear. He is the title of his piece is "We need to know the names of the traitor MPs, but don't count on any of the parties to give them up." So it's going to be an article, right? Probably explaining why he thinks that none of the parties will give them up. But pay very, very close attention to the beginning, and I'll prompt you for the last sentence of this article. And it dawned on me when I'd finished reading the article, it's like, this article is not at all, I mean, it is, yes, to explain to us why it is that we probably won't be able to count on these parties to give up the names. But it's actually something else entirely. He's a clever little bear. Right. At some point in the next few weeks, some member of Parliament is going to have to rise in the House and, under cover of parliamentary privilege, read out the names of the MPs suspected of betraying their country. Someone with access to the same intelligence on which the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, NSICOP, based the allegations in its recent report will have to leak it to him or her, risking imprisonment. Otherwise, I fear that is the last we are going to hear of it. The impugned, I never know how to pronounce that word. The impugned MPs, whoever they are, will continue to sit in the Commons, in caucus, and quite possibly in cabinet. Their names, though, no doubt known to some, the Prime Minister certainly, will be rumored by others, guessed at by still others, but no one outside of senior government circles will know for sure, and no one within that precinct will want any of the names to come out. So they won't. And you may ask, how can this be? The allegations in the NSICOP report are too shocking, surely, to be kept under wraps. The evidence from more than 4,000 documents reviewed by NSICOP and dozens of interviews with senior government and intelligence officials shows that foreign actors, the People's Republic of China and India are both named, have not just intimidated or pressured parliamentarians, but in some cases have enjoyed their willing collaboration. And I'll note here that in the report, some of the nations that are interfering in some way, even their names have been redacted. Right. The committee said it had seen, quote, troubling intelligence that some parliamentarians are, in the words of the intelligence services, semi-witting or witting participants in the efforts of foreign states to interfere in our politics. The MPs are accused of, and there are three things here, providing information learned in confidence from the government to a known intelligence officer of a foreign state, at the requests or direction of foreign officials, improperly influencing parliamentary colleagues or parliamentary business to the advantage of a foreign state, and providing foreign diplomatic officials with privileged information on the work or opinions of fellow parliamentarians, knowing that such information will be used by those officials to inappropriately pressure parliamentarians to change their positions. Hey, you want that trade deal here? Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I can get you this stuff from what this guy said. I'll give you a little tip on that. In return for which they receive two things. One, support from community groups or businesses during election campaigns, which the diplomatic missions promise to quietly mobilize in a candidate's favor. Two, funds or benefits from foreign missions or their proxies which have been layered or otherwise disguised to conceal their source, which they accept knowingly or through willful blindness. In sum, they sold, and for all we know are still selling, secrets, influence, and even their colleagues to China and India in return for money and political muscle. This puts rather a different face on things. Until now, the scandal had seemed to be largely about foreign interference, online disinformation campaigns, intimidation of diaspora communities, and so on, even if the issue was why the government has been so slow to act on it. But it now appears that at least as much of it involves domestic collaborators, not just unwitting accomplices or unwilling targets, but active, even enthusiastic participants. But then, should we be surprised? Have we not read all those reports from other countries about not just politicians, but academics, journalists, and others being in the pay of a foreign power? Did we think this could not happen in Canada? Is it because we are more virtuous that there have not been similar stories here until now? Or is it that we have less stringent regulations and laxer oversight? Indeed, much of the NSICOP report simply confirms what had been previously reported by the Globe and Mail and other media based on leaked intelligence, but which the government and its supporters had done their best to deny or downplay for years. There is the famous, quote, network under the direction of Chinese consular officials used to, quote, covertly support or oppose candidates in the 2019 federal election, including, quote, at least 11 candidates and 13 campaign staffers, some of whom appeared to be wittingly working for the People's Republic of China. There is the plan to clandestinely provide funds through intermediaries to their campaigns, quote, including 2 transfers of funds approximately $250,000. There is the reimbursement scheme whereby China, quote, covertly encouraged individuals to donate money to the campaigns of candidates that the PRC favored and promised to pay them back. And there is the story of the MP Han Dong's nomination as the Liberal candidate in Don Valley North in 2019, how China had arranged for between 175 and 200 international Chinese students to arrive at the nomination meeting, quote, in several buses, how they had been told by consular officials that, quote, they must vote for Mr. Dong if they want to maintain their student visa, how the students, quote, were provided with fraudulent residency paperwork and, quote, sought to physically intimidate voters. How they probably delivered the nomination to Mr. Dong and therefore Don Valley North being solidly liberal, the writing, and how the Prime Minister told all of this and more retained Mr. Dong as a candidate, not only in 2019, but in the 2021 campaign. This is the third report in several weeks to broadly confirm both the leaks and the media's reporting of them after the report by the National Security and Intelligence Review Agency, that's NSIRA, and the initial report of Justice Marie-Josée Hogue's public inquiry. They add up to a stunning repudiation of the government's handling of the matter, at best complacent and at worst complicit, and of the earlier report by the Prime Minister's special rapporteur, former Governor General David Johnston, who seemed far more exercised by the leaks than what they contained. That's the part where Andrew Coyne sort of goes off and is a little more Andrew Coyne there. The rest of the article's good, so I'll let him have it. Though the committee pronounced itself, quote, deeply troubled by the leaks, it also acknowledges, quote, an uncomfortable truth, that nobody would be talking about any of this without them. Prior to the leaks, it writes, quote, there was little sense of urgency among senior decision makers to address, quote, this important and well-documented threat to national security. Regrettably, the leaks were the principal catalyst for the government to start considering key legislative reforms and to take meaningful actions against particular states. And yet, the Prime Minister is still largely in control of events. The parliamentary committees that have attempted to look into the scandal have gone nowhere for lack of access to classified documents. Justice Hoag's inquiry was given restrictive terms of reference. All the business about who knew what when was supposed to be stuffed into her initial report 2 weeks after the close of hearings, though the judge found a way around that and has been denied important documents on cabinet confidentiality grounds. The NCIRA was similarly limited to reviewing the flow of information regarding foreign interference within government. NCICOP itself is not, despite its name, a committee of parliament, but one appointed by and reporting to the Prime Minister, who can order redactions to its reports before they are released, and has. Many of the most alarming passages in the current report are vague paraphrases, the original text having been redacted to remove information, the disclosure text having been, to remove information, the disclosure of which the Prime Minister believed would be injurious to national security, national defense, or international relations, or which constitutes solicitor-client privilege. That includes the names of the MPs. What will happen next? By all indications, not much. Though the report frankly condemns the actions of the MPs as illegal, it is even franker in conceding that none are likely to face charges, quote, owing to Canada's failure to address the long-standing issue of protecting classified information and methods in judicial processes. In the US and Britain, legislators have gone to jail for accepting money and favors from foreigners. Not here. The last Canadian MP convicted of passing secrets to foreign power was Fred Rose in 1946. Will they at least be named? Not by the committee. They're sworn to secrecy. Not by the intelligence agencies. That sort of autonomy is not granted to them. When the then head of the Canadian Security Intelligence, Richard Fadden, referred obliquely in 2010 to certain unnamed Canadian politicians being under the sway of foreign powers, he was very nearly hounded out of office. And not by the government. The most the Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland would commit to was an internal follow-up by the Liberal Party, the same process that let Han Dong take a seat as an MP, while the Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc pleaded with Canadians to trust, quote, the professionals in our security and intelligence agencies, the same agencies the government has repeatedly ignored, quote, and at the RCMP, whom the committee says are unlikely to investigate anyone. But surely the opposition will raise hell. Don't count on it. On the day after the committee's report was released, the Conservatives asked 24 questions in question period. Not one was about the report or its allegations. On Wednesday, Conservative leader Poilievre called on the government to release the names after it had become clear it wouldn't. And that was the play yesterday. After not saying anything on the day the news came out, the day after, he decided that he was going to stand at the front of the National Pride Parade. He was going to become the crusader in chief. Release the names. Yeah, it's real easy to be bold and brave when you know there's no chance in hell that names will be released. And the other play of the day, it seems the minions online all got to the same line. Because I guess they must have heard what Dave Wallace had to say. And the line was, well, he called in the House of Commons for the release of the names, so surely he's not on that list. Why would he call for a release of a list of names that he'd be on? Yeah, because in the history of humanity, nobody has ever tried to deflect suspicion away from themselves by being the person that decides, hey, I'm the one who's going to find the person who did it. Everybody follow me. The better to be able to deflect attention and steer it where you would want it, away from you. Right, my child? Gee, Grandma, what big teeth you have. The better to get you to look the other way. Release the names. Isn't that exactly what you would expect someone on that list to say if they wanted to shift the attention somewhere else, especially when they're safe and secure in the knowledge that the names will probably never be released? He's good. He's good. And there are enough people that are gullible enough to buy that. That's enough for them. He called for the names to be released, so he can't be on the list. It doesn't make sense that he would call for the names to be released if he was on the list or if most of the names on the list were conservatives. And see, for me, the fact that he had not one question, and then on the second day his question was sort of half-assed delivered and very lame, and that all his MPs are running away and his director of communications in particular disappeared, just popped it back up. It's like, oh, you're still alive. That to me signifies that, well, let's put it this way. The report says that there are parliamentarians, so that includes senators. There are some certain senators that are still affiliated with the Conservative Party of Canada directly. They never took advantage of the Senate modernization that the Prime Minister put in place. And there are parliamentarians past and present among them, from what we've been able to gather from them from the news and what little they will tell us about who is on those lists. So you have, for me, when I'm thinking about this, either Pierre is on the list himself, and it would certainly explain why it is that he doesn't go to get his security clearance, because, I mean, well, if he's a willing participant in accepting some foreign assistance, like, for example, perhaps in a conservative leadership race to become leader from India, let's say, just spitballing, well, I guess it would be a rather awkward experience to submit to a security clearance thing. Just, yeah, things might be uncovered. So, yeah. Let's keep going. Doesn't its report also note, again confirming previous media reports, that 2 recent conservative leadership races have been subject to interference by China and one by India? Between these and the Dong business, the committee rightly recommends the party nomination and leadership races should be subject to supervision of election regulators. Oh, please, yes, make that a thing. Canada would be a much better place if party leadership races were governed by the electoral bodies. Can't believe Andrew Coyne and I agree on this. Wow. Political parties are not, as they pretend, private clubs, and however much their internal decisions, elections, and associated shenanigans have delighted us in the past, it is intolerable that they should serve as a portal for foreign powers to infiltrate our politics. Here again, however, we are likely to face an all-party conspiracy of silence. None of the parties has shown the slightest willingness to have its internal elections vetted by independent regulators, just as none is likely to be too keen to look into what some of its MPs might have been up to. In time, they may hope the public will get bored and the media will move on, and in this regard, they are probably right. So here, Andrew Coyne is suggesting that maybe the reasons why, all the parties are sort of like, none of the parties seem to be really going, treason? Drop everything. Let's get to the bottom of this. Which is what you would think as a citizen your politicians would do. But we're not getting that. Well, could the reason be because we found out that their nomination processes are so lax? The obvious follow-up recommendation would be to regulate those and put them under the auspices of a trusted independent body, like Elections Canada, Elections Ontario, Elections Alberta. But if they do that, that makes it very much harder for a party to do like the Conservatives did in their previous leadership race, which is like destroy the ballots the second that the results were announced. That would be hard to do if Elections Canada was monitoring their leadership races and the vote, right? So if you want to make sure that a certain candidate doesn't win, you want to maintain that control in your party. It sure creates an incentive for all the parties to agree to try to have this go away as quickly as possible so that nobody starts getting ideas. Like maybe the way you run your affairs should be subjected to a little more scrutiny with teeth. Let's continue. The Liberals' tactic of deny, delay, and deflect, first denying the allegations, then, when they can no longer be denied, denying they matter, has proved largely successful. Polls show that foreign interference ranks low on the public lists of important issues. The opposition is likely to take the hint. It was to their advantage to demand a public inquiry so long as the government refused and so long as they could be assured its findings would only stick to the government. But now, what's in it for them? For that matter, the same might apply to certain sections of the media. The report refers to Chinese officials, quote, interfering with Canadian media content via direct engagement with Canadian media executives and journalists. So again, remember we had some chat about this where I said, if you're going to do foreign interference, you're going to do it right. You're not going to just stick to the party with the government right now. Right? You're going to be agnostic. Because governments one day become oppositions and oppositions become governments. And that's another typical line you will see. Well, we have to hold the government to account like this. Okay, but the opposition is doing a whole bunch of shitty stuff and they're running through. Yeah, but they're not the government. They don't have the power. Yeah, well, they don't have the power, but in the years they're in opposition, they could be promising and making backroom deals with a whole bunch of people saying that, hey, if we win, you will be getting this. Just because they're out of the opposition doesn't mean they're not up to stuff that requires scrutiny, equal scrutiny to what the government is doing. We focus on the government because of the government, but these same things apply to opposition too. So, polls show that foreign interference ranks were low on the public's list of important issues I mentioned. The opposition is also likely to take the hint. It was to their advantage to demand a public inquiry. So I mentioned that. Sorry. What's in it for them? Sorry. For that matter, the same might apply to certain sections of the media. The report refers to Chinese officials interfering with Canadian media content via direct engagement with Canadian media executives and journalists, while a redacted passage cites examples of the People's Republic of China paying to publish media articles without attribution. And that's the other thing I said. If you were going to do foreign interference well, why would you limit yourself to just one party or just politicians? Why wouldn't you try to influence academics and business people and people in the media as well? I mean, if you're going to do the job right? Well, seems that's been happening. So now we're in a situation where we have to wonder as well, not only about what our politicians are saying, which ones are corrupt, but which members of our media as well. Which members of our media are pushing media articles without attribution at the behest or request of the People's Republic of China? And are any of them currently being pushed, given that we're talking about them in unflattering ways? So, if none of the parties is keen on turning over this rock, if law enforcement are unwilling and the media nervous, Mr. Dong's lawsuit against Global News will have had a useful chilling effect. Then the betting proposition has to be that nothing will happen. None of the MPs involved will be prosecuted or named or face consequences of any kind, and the public will shrug. Experience has taught them that in this country, nobody ever faces consequences for this kind of thing. Unless a lone MP stands up in the House and names the names. See what he did there? Let's go back to the beginning. At some point in the next few weeks, some member of parliament is going to have to rise in the House and, under cover of parliamentary privilege, read out the names of the MPs suspected of betraying their country. Someone with access to the same intelligence on which the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, NCCOP, based their allegations in its recent report will have to leak it to him or her, risking imprisonment. Otherwise, I fear that this is the last we are going to hear of it. The impugned MPs, whoever they are, will quietly sit in the Commons, in caucus, and quite possibly in cabinet. End of the article. Unless a lone MP stands up in the House and names the names. And that was the real editorial. Clever little bear Andrew Coyne used an editorial where he promised to explain to us why it is that these names probably won't become public. And he does do that. He does that. Does it quite well. Solid piece. But in there, he slides in an actual call. This is a call for someone to do this. He's got the fig leaf of deniability by doing it this way. But he's actually asking for someone to break the law. He's actually asking for two people to break the law. He's asking for the person that would leak that information to the MP that would be willing to stand in the House and do something illegal. And that would be illegal were it not for the fact that they are doing it in the House of Commons where they have parliamentary privilege. Clever, 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 clever little bear, Andrew. That's subtle. That's subtle. That's yeah, I have my issues with him, but every now and then this man's a pro. So yeah, that's Andrew Coyne's take on it. And I don't know. I don't know if we will get that. I personally don't know. I'm not convinced we will get that. How would I say? Part of me says that yes, we could get that, and that if we do get that, once again, the first name to be leaked is probably going to be a liberal name, and we know, how do we know this? Because it's happened before. Han Dong. That's why he's suing, right? His name, based on intel, not actually evidence, but intel, and intel is not evidence, was leaked, and his career was pretty much destroyed. So he sued. We don't know where that is yet, but he sued. So yeah, it's happened before. A name has been leaked before. Because the other names like Jenny Kwan and Michael Chong, it's because, or Aaron O'Toole, it's because they were targets of campaigns. But under the category alleged witting or unwitting participant, only Han Dong's name was released by whomever leaked it. So yeah, if someone leaks it and there's an MP willing to read it, we'll have something. But until then, there's probably not going to be much. Now, one really interesting thing that came along is that often the police doesn't indicate when it is that they are investigating something, right? They try to keep that quiet because sometimes the investigation is ongoing. Sometimes they don't want to let somebody know that there's an open investigation because, well, that tips them off that they're a target and they can do something else. Sometimes they're monitoring, surveilling. And so if they blow that, they blow the cover. So, there's a lot of things going on. And while the Conservatives are accusing the Liberals of hiding the names, I guess, and the interesting part here to note as well is that when the Prime Minister made the allegations in the House of Commons with regard to India, Pierre Poilievre's first response or instinct was first to side with India, say the Prime Minister has no proof, and then demand that the Prime Minister release the proof right then and there. But there's investigations and there's intelligence. There's intelligence that's lent to us by our 5R partners that are not ours to use in those ways to make public. Right? Our allies trust us. We will give you this information because you need to know this, but this is only for you to know, and you can't share it, you can't give it, you can't, because this information does not belong to you, it belongs to us, your Five Eyes partner, but we are sharing it. So you have all these restrictions, and when they're saying name the names, there are issues of due process, and there are issues of maintaining the integrity of the investigation. So one of the reasons that Han Dong is suing is because his name was named, and any information that there might be out there that he could use to clear his name instantly, well, some of it can't be released, clearly. Because there's national security stuff going on. So you name someone's name, you made an accusation, you're a witting participant with a foreign agent working against Canada, and then you have no way to defend yourself. That's not good. And then when a criminal investigation happens to be on, right, what's the standard response? I can't comment because I want to protect the integrity of the investigation. So again, when you're sitting here and you're wondering, like, why is it that I think that PP may be on that list? Well, as was the case when the news from India came up, as is the case now, PP is demanding that the government do something that would cause the integrity of any investigations that may be going on at the time to be completely compromised, which for the people who would be on that list would probably be a very convenient way to make sure that consequences don't happen or to ensure that you can get off on a technicality. So I'm sitting there at home and I'm going, well, why would PP keep on demanding, and all the Conservatives keep on demanding, that the Prime Minister release this information that would make potential criminal charges impossible if they were the ones that wouldn't benefit the most from it? And that's one of the reasons I think that either PP himself is on the list or that the majority of them are Conservatives. There will be some Liberals on that list. There will be. I don't know if there will be some from other parties. The Bloc Québécois and the NDP did ask questions on the first day. That doesn't mean anything. But yeah, there will be Liberals on that list, but how many and for what? Because I'm sure that all the allegations are not the same. There's a difference between taking a meeting and maybe saying something a little inappropriate and actually exchanging cash or secrets or passing on information or delivering a fellow MP to someone. There's it's hard to find the words in some ways because it's just that there are so many, first of all, and that some were witting. It just blows my mind. But it seems that it has indeed been confirmed that there are some investigations going on. This is from a Kitchi north of the wall at Tripeta Rafa on Twitter. And since you are here, Mr. Grizzly, I'm going to send it to you by text.
So can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, perfectly. So I just sent you something by text.
Okay, give me a minute.
If you a link, if you would put it up. So I said, yeah, Kitchi north of the wall. Recommended follow, by the way. And I'm not sure what the source of this is, to be totally honest. But I would tend to, by the way that it is written, to believe that it is a newspaper of some kind, and it's just the image or the source wasn't included in the screen cap. But here we go. The RCMP will not provide comment whether there is an active criminal investigation into any parliamentarian. The RCMP can confirm there are investigations into a broad range of foreign interference in Canada, including matters which intersect with democratic institutions. The RCMP has spoken publicly about the problem of foreign interference and believe more public attention to this matter is necessary. At the same time, the RCMP must exercise significant caution with respect to public statement proof or to... Sorry, jumping a line here. Sorry. Let's try that again. At the same time, the RCMP must exercise significant caution with respect to public statements related to ongoing investigations. An RCMP confirmation of such an investigation has the potential to cause damage to reputations prior to meeting an appropriate level of proof or to interfere with an ongoing investigation. For these reasons, the RCMP does not generally confirm or release information relating to criminal investigations until charges are laid, rendering it a matter of public record. When an investigation results in criminal charges, the RCMP would confirm its investigation, the nature of any charges laid, and the identity of the individuals involved. Pardon me, kids, it's written very small, and I have to be reading it on my cell phone here, so the lines are blending every now and then. The RCMP was an active participant in the NSICOP review and provided detailed information about RCMP knowledge and understanding of the threat. The NSICOP report is bringing important attention to this matter, and this attention is an important tool in combating foreign interference. With respect to the information contained in the NSICOP report and what the RCMP knew and did not know at the time, the RCMP is part of the national security community and works closely with partners to combat all types of national security threats. Although the RCMP did not receive information regarding all the matters contained in the report, the RCMP was aware of the broad range of work being done by partners. The RCMP recognizes that each organization works on a distinct yet complementary mandates and legal regimes. Challenges do exist, including the use of intelligence as evidence that limit the sharing of information for criminal investigations. The RCMP and national security partners meet regularly to discuss threats and to ensure there is a level of awareness of each organization's activity, even though specific details are not always shared. Specific to the 43rd and 44th general election, the RCMP did not conduct criminal investigations into election-related activities at the time. However, after receiving additional information, the RCMP initiated investigations. It would be inappropriate at this time to speak to any specific incidents. However, foreign interference is one of the highest priorities under the RCMP's federal policing mandate. Let me repeat that key sentence, kids and cubs. Specific to the 43rd and 44th general election, the RCMP did not conduct criminal investigations into election-related activities at that time. However, after receiving additional information, the RCMP initiated investigations. So there are investigations that are initiated. I would suspect by the number of times that the RCMP has figured in these few paragraphs, it probably is a sign that this might be probably an official statement from the RCMP website. I don't know if Mr. Grizzly's there to take the screen thing down, but because I heard a door close at some point. So you might be looking at this for a while, kids and cubs. I'm so sorry for the viewers, because Mr. Grizzly has the control up there. So yeah. So now, here's what we do know. We do know that the RCMP initiated investigations. We do know that Pierre Poilievre is exhibiting new and abnormal behavior. He's not doing the things that we would usually expect him to be doing when something just this juicy comes along. We know that the government is doing what they are supposed to do. How well they're doing it, that's up for debate. But the government certainly is not going to do the kind of thing that would compromise an investigation or compromise somebody's due process rights. I think we had enough with like Maher Arar and Omar Khadr and whatnot of violating people's due process rights, getting sued for it. So they're probably not going to do that. And then that's the other line that you'll be hearing from the pro-PP and crowd is, well, if PP was really on that list, the Prime Minister would have quickly released that information so as to sink him. No, he wouldn't. Why would he do that? Especially now. We're June 2024. There isn't supposed to be an election before October. If the Prime Minister had the information and had intended to release it or leak it, why would he not wait to release it closer to the election when you have no right in the middle of it as a bombshell, so you have no time to respond and you're scrambling? Why would he give you a 1.5 year head start? That's not strategic. And if the Prime Minister does know who's on that list and knows that you are on that list because he got to see the unredacted report, let's say if that was the case, well, why would the Prime Minister do anything given that, well, number one, you're his rival, and two, you kind of spent the last 2 years just trashing his name? So, I mean, I'm sure the Prime Minister has no love for Pierre Poilievre, so why release the news now to try and cause a little scandal of embarrassment if there's a chance he could go to jail? If you really don't like someone and you're holding a card, that could land him to go to jail. But if you play it now, there's no snowball's chance in hell he goes to jail because you compromise an investigation. Why would you play that card? Why wouldn't you just let the process roll out and let the father murderer wind up in jail? So all of these things, right? If he had it, he would have released it right away just to get Pierre. No, winning the nanosecond is the conservative game. It's not the liberal game. Especially this Prime Minister. Jeez. So you add those two things. Then you add the fact that Harper and Modi are really good buddies. And then you add the fact that Harper removed Modi's name from the IDU website when the kitchen started getting a little hot. And then we find out that, in the conservative leadership race, somebody was helped somehow by India, according to this intel. And we know it wasn't Patrick Brown that was helped, because Patrick Brown used to be really tight with Modi. But somehow he became persona non grata. We don't know how. We don't know why. But we know that Stephen Harper is very good friends with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and we know that Stephen Harper wouldn't be sad at all if PP had become the leader. So there's no proof that they talked to each other and arranged it, but all the relationships exist and all the people know each other, and all it takes is for three people, them three, to agree. It's not out of the realm of possibility. And, well, it's not like these guys don't cheat. I mean, we know that under Stephen Harper, when they, skippy air quotes, won their first election, 5 years later, they ended up pleading guilty in court to electoral finance violations, which allowed them to cheat, to perhaps steal. Maybe they would have won anyway, who knows? But perhaps steal an election, we'll never know, because they did cheat. And then, well, after that, they did not. And after that, because they filed all the expenses and got the money that they got reimbursed for money that they cheated with, they tried to keep that money, by the way. So
cute.
Yeah. So, and then we know that Stephen Harper was the first prime minister to be found in contempt by their own parliament in all of the Commonwealth. And we know that Stephen Harper was certainly not above dirty tricks, considering what he did to Helena Georges and Raheem Jaffer. And we know that PP certainly has no problem with cheating. I mean, the election that the In-N-Out scandal happened in, to which the Conservatives pled guilty to save 4 Conservatives from going to jail, including 2 senators, one who has since died. Irvin Gerstein and Doug Finley were their names, and 2 party operatives. Pierre benefited greatly from that election. I don't know if his particular campaign was used as an in-and-out account, but a lot of them in the party were. The majority of them were, it seems. So his probably was. But whether it was or not, the party cheated, won the election, and he got his seat in Parliament from that election. So Pierre may have benefited. Well, Pierre benefited greatly from a crime.
A big surprise.
Right? And then we know that Pierre has a lifetime compliance agreement, or also known as a deferred prosecution agreement, because he too cheated in an election.
Wasn't the deferred prosecution what kicked off the whole SNC Lavalin thing?
Yeah. Deferred prosecution agreements are terrible. The government interfering like this. You
Unless
have one.
we have it.
You have one.
Yeah.
So we have a party in the opposition, I guess, and let me be very clear on this, right? The Progressive Conservative Party of Canada stopped existing in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
The Conservative Party of Canada is a 21-year-old party. It's a brand new party.
Yeah.
And it has criminality in its DNA.
Right from the get-go.
Just like the UCP with Jason Kenney and the kamikaze candidate. Criminality in its DNA. These are not Tories. These are not progressive conservatives. These are things we know.
Very true.
Now, do I have proof that PP's on that list? No. Do I have proof that Narendra Modi actually did something to help PP win? No. But you'd have to be willfully blind to not see the metric shit ton of circumstantial evidence.
Well, I think so, yeah. You'd have to be willfully blind and ignorant.
At least, not, you know what? And if you're not willing to go so far, right, as he did, there's certainly enough for you to not buy the garbage that they're spewing in their own defense. There's enough. When we're talking about reasonable doubt and healthy skepticism, there's plenty to go on here. Mr. Guzzi, I don't know if you're able to take the screen thing down so that the kids can see something else. Oh,
I'm sorry. Is that still up there?
Yeah, that's still up there.
It shouldn't be.
Oh, sorry, maybe not. My screen is frozen.
Yeah, it's not up. I took it down a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it might be
Yeah.
that my screen is frozen. There you go. It just disappeared. There you go.
I understand I'm very loud. I've just moved back from the microphone. I'm using a different microphone today because I'm, mobile. So is that a little bit better?
Yes, for me it is. I don't know about the kids, but you'll give us some detail. Now, here's the really interesting thing that happened. When the first things came out, the prime minister offered the leaders of the parties the opportunity to get their NSICOP level clearance so that they too can see the documentation. And Jagmeet Singh and Elizabeth May did, and both of them weren't really impressed with what they saw when it came to the Governor General stuff, right? But they got to see what was there. But two party leaders did not. Yves-François Blanchet, the Bloc Québécois, didn't. Because it's like, I don't want to be part of Canada. Why would I sit on the committee? Okay. And then Pierre Poilievre, allegedly because, if I do that, I'll be gagged and I won't be able to talk. Well, Elizabeth May saw it and Jagmeet saw it, and they were able to talk about it and ask questions. So we know that's not it, right? Well, when we're talking about matters of foreign interference in which members of political parties may be engaging wittingly or unwittingly in just a soupçon of treason, some light treason or heavy treason, right? 10% treason or 35% treason. Then all of a sudden, if that's happening in Canada and people are trying to infiltrate Canada in that way, and Quebec is part of Canada, well, maybe that's happening too. So it would be entirely consistent to say, well, given this, then yes. I still don't want to be that person with regard to Canada. I don't want that relationship, but this could affect us too. And if it's good for Quebec, I will do it. So Blanchette is completely consistent. But that creates a situation now where Pierre Poilievre is now the officially cheese who stands alone on this. And here's where it's going to get a little sticky, because I hope somebody eventually gets here. But Pierre Poilievre, why won't you get your security clearance?
Well, I don't want to be gagged. Justin Trudeau wants to force me to do that so that I can't criticize his policies, because once I see stuff, I can't talk about it anymore.
Okay. But we're talking treason. You want to be the prime minister of this country. We're talking potential treason. We're talking about the call potentially coming from inside your house, or some of the calls. Will you not get your security clearance for that? Because if treason isn't potential treason or alleged treason isn't reason enough for you to finally get off your duff and go get it, what good are you? Aren't you telling us that you refuse to do the job to stand on guard for us right now? I repeat, the subject matter is potential treason. If you won't belly up to go get your security clearance so that you can see all the information and be able to participate with every other party leader, even the one of the bloc, to put your big boy pants on and your serious pants, your adult pants, and actually stop being a petulant child for once and sit in a room with other people, collaborate, work together, and make sure that the integrity of this nation is solid. If you're not willing to do that, what good are you as a leader and the leader of this nation? What good are you? It's disqualifying. We now live in a country right now where the leader of a party that would love nothing more than be able to remove his province from this country in order to be its own country cares more about the national security of this nation and is willing to do more than the leader of one or two major parties, who has been telling us up and down, round and round, how much he wants to become our prime minister. I don't know about you, but that's fucking awkward. I hope someone starts asking him the question, because I would love to see him dance. He is not a good man. I suspect he's on the list because of this behavior, but if he's not, he's still, right now, he should be showing us that there is nothing that he would not do in order to make sure that every single one of those 338 MPs who sit in that House of Commons and every single one of those 103 senators that sit in that Senate are first working for Canada and are only working for Canada. If he can't do that, if he's not willing to do that, if he cannot find the intestinal fortitude to put his ego aside and go up and get that, either he doesn't want to do the job or he knows what will be found. He's still got over a year to go. There's only so long you can skate. This is a moment right now. We're in a moment. And he's got to show whether or not he's willing to do what is required to actually lead this country and defend us. And if he can't do that, he's got to go. So it will be very, very, very interesting to see if this discussion involves, particularly on security clearance, to what? Not even for treason? Really? Not even for that, you won't do it. Then let the fun begin. Oh, one more thing on this. And this is Evan Scrimshaw. And he has a really interesting take as well. His piece is called Traitors Foreign and Domestic. We don't know whether or not releasing the names of potentially implicated MPs is the right decision. We want it to be the right decision. We want it to be smart because viscerally we want to believe that we can toss out some dirty politicians and fix the problem. That's the story we want to tell ourselves because it's easier. It's easier to toss out some dirty politicians than it is to decide where the much harder lines need to be set. We have been punting a broader conversation around foreign interference and the role of ethnic minorities in a multiracial democracy. Our mainstream press indulges in caricature on these issues, as the coverage of Justin Trudeau's announcements of Indian involvement in the killing of our citizens showed. The fact that Aaron O'Toole has been able for so long to claim he lost up to 9 seats due to foreign interference and not the fact he took a more hawkish line on China without much substantial pushback is absurd. It's more convenient to believe that Chinese interference flips seats than it is for many white commentators to wrestle with the fact that the issues that animate the Ottawa bubble don't necessarily animate all parts of the country. Have politicians crossed lines and in some cases broken the law? Possibly, although having intelligence saying so is not the same as evidence, nor proven evidence. Did every MP listed in the redacted version commit the same level of offense? Assuredly not. Are there liberals involved in this mess, even beyond Han Dong, who no longer sits as a liberal? I'd bet every dime and dollar. But my interest here isn't partisan, it's patriotic. I want to know if there's a traitor in Parliament. I just don't know if naming the alleged dirty MPs gets us closer or further from that goal. The naming of Dong last year in multiple Sam Cooper stories, more on him later, didn't serve to inform the population. It brought about a libel suit that'll be heard sometime between now and my death. We don't know anything, and tossing a list of dirty MPs out there that will be used to equate having bussed-in Chinese residents or signed up foreign students at a college campus for a nomination race with people who gave crucial information to enemies doesn't seem to help. At some point, we need to have a conversation. A real conversation, where frankly white people like me aren't the leaders about the intersection of increased immigration, ethnic politics, and the influence of back home on Canadians here. I'm not suggesting that non-white Canadians are less Canadian than my Scottish and Irish ancestry ass is, but there are obviously an element here that isn't helped by the white nature of the commentariat. What we need here is answers to these specific issues, but a broader discussion of the fact that we are a different country today than we were 20 years ago matters. If we want to sustain our diversity, a strength that I cherish, we have to strengthen our institutions to protect against foreign interference, but also strengthen our ability to talk about heavily non-white seats without sounding like freaking morons. And that is what's most concerning about all of this. The original Sam Cooper story on Han Dong, then the Liberal was warned mere days before the nomination closed in 2019 about Dong, which has been confirmed by the principals, included a line that I'll never forget. Dong emerged, in the words of whatever CSIS lackey wrote the memo that Coop wrote up, quote, suddenly and suspiciously from the Don Valley North Liberal nomination. Dong was a former Ontario MPP who had Adam Vaughan, who we all thought was going to hold that seat indefinitely, blocking his path to Parliament, and then a seat opened up and he ran north. You can have objections to that kind of carpetbagging, but Jagmeet Singh carpetbagged from Brampton to Burnaby for political reasons, and nobody's calling him suspicious. Politicians moving to try and further their careers is not suspicious. If your spy agency thinks it is, that brings their entire credibility into disrepute. Without that assessment, I'd be more likely to give this intel the benefit of the doubt, but intel isn't just a list of facts, it's a person's interpretation of facts. It's in the same vein as how differently we all hear the same words differently depending on the deliverer. CSIS, as any intel agency, relies on its agents not being frickin' idiots. Their trust with the public relies on us not doubting what they say on that basis as well. And it's hard, if that's what CSIS thought of Dong, to know whether every assessment they make is this stupid. But this is why I don't want to get into the weeds of any possible allegation. People are trying to figure out the list, and I'm sure in enough time we'll see it pieced together through public tells. Parties aren't going to be able to keep accused members in prominent positions, and at some point, if there are prominent frontbenchers in any party involved, I'm sure their parties will tip their hands in time. But more importantly, how do we handle this so that the butt end of every government doesn't see some tactical leak allegations? Is the answer hiving off foreign interference from the remit of the RCMP and creating some separate organization with powers to investigate this that has dedicated officers and budget? Is the answer to boost RCMP budgets to deal with this? How do we get community groups to trust CSIS and the RCMP to actually go to them if they see things that aren't on the level? And should all political parties change the rules around nominations? I have my answers on all of those, and I don't think there's need for a US-style primary system that would cost millions and also run contrary to the very nature of Westminster democracy, which is to say that elections are not fixed. Primaries work in the US because there's no risk that there'll be a presidential election in June. It's much harder to do here when the election could be in 12 months or 12 weeks. But at least thinking about whether there needs to be systemic changes in the more worthwhile exercise than hoping that there are more traitors in your opposition ranks than your own. There's been a very serious failure here. These are dark times. I get it if you want the names out there above all else, and I certainly get feeling betrayed. I certainly do. But at the end of the day, we can wallow in the feeling of perceived betrayal and yell about how awful the other side is, content to know there's no definitive proof our side isn't implicated officially yet, or we can try to make this better. I find myself less interested in the traitors in our midst now and much more interested in stopping any more. We'll rid ourselves of our current failures soon enough. Any future traitors are on us. Let's not let there be any. I agree. It's well written. Some really well written pieces today on this subject. I'm not sure if we have Mr. Grizzly. I heard some noise. No, we don't. Okay. The other bombshell, at least for me it was, I don't know if it was telegraphed or not, but the Premier of Ontario shuffled their cabinet yesterday Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the second time he does this, gives a shuffle of the cabinet just before he's going to go away on a break. So, yeah, shuffled the cabinet and is going away for 19 weeks, I think it is, or something like that. So, the cabinet shuffle has a couple of things about it. The first one is that it is the largest cabinet in Ontario history. 45% of Ontario PC Party MPs are now in the cabinet. Kind of makes you wonder if someone has been hearing some talk about potential mutiny and wants to make sure that you get a position and you get a position and you get a position and yeah.
That's good. That's good. I like that. That's good.
Now, we have some really interesting things. First, the Minister of Uncomfortably Tight Pants,
Yeah, he's out.
Stephen Lecce, is no longer the Minister of Education. That's kind of interesting. So, can't remember exactly off the top of my head to where he got bumped to, but I'll be able to find that for you before the segment's over. But yeah, he's out of education. Unfortunately, he didn't move Sylvia Jones out of health. I guess she's doing the job he wants her to do. We have a Mike Harris in cabinet again. Everybody's going, Mike Harris, Mike Harris. Yeah, not that Mike Harris. So you don't have to worry about that. So Doug Ford remains the Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs. Sylvia Jones remains Deputy of Health. Peter Falvey remains Finance Minister. No changes there. Calandra still at Housing. Cho still at Seniors and Accessibility. That's Raymond Cho. Stan Cho moves to or becomes the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Gaming with responsibility for the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Commission, I guess it is, OLG. Doug Downey remains Attorney General. Jill Dunlop remains Minister of Colleges and Universities. Vic Fideli remains Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. Rob Flack becomes the Minister of Farming, Agriculture and Agribusiness. Michael Ford remains Minister of Citizenship and Multiculturalism. The Michael Harris in question becomes the Minister of Red Tape Reduction. Yeah. Like I said, you get a file and you get a file. Michael Kersner remains Solicitor General. Andrea Kangin remains Minister of Environment, Conservation and Parks. She literally has nothing to do. Natalia Kusendova-Bashta becomes Minister of Long-Term Care. Stephen Lecce becomes Minister of Energy and Electrification. He's the guy that's got to catch lightning with his hands. Well, where you got comfortably tight pants.
Wow. That's, well.
And pointy shoes.
Yeah.
Neil
What do
Lumsden
they call those winkle pickers?
Winkle pickers. Neil Lumsden becomes the Minister of Sport. Todd McCarthy becomes the Minister of Public and Business Service Delivery and Procurement with responsibility for Supply Ontario. Caroline Mulroney remains President of the Treasury Board and Ministre des Affaires francophones. Michael Parsa remains Minister of Children, Community and Social Services. David Piccini remains Minister of Labour, Immigration, Training and Skill Development. George Prairie remains Minister of Mines. Greg Rickford becomes Minister of Indigenous Affairs and First Nations Economic Reconciliation and remains Minister of Northern Development. And I'm wondering if this guy, Greg Rickford, was in the federal government with the Harper days and also had an Indigenous file for some reason. My brain seems to remember that. I'll have to look that up. But that's like this, again, that weird thing in my brain where I've got this bunch of information filed. That just sort of rings a bell for me. Pramit Sarkaria remains Minister of Transportation. Todd Smith becomes the Minister of Education. Graydon Smith becomes Minister of Natural Resources. Kinga Surma remains Minister of Infrastructure. Lisa Thompson becomes the Minister of Rural Affairs. Stephen Crawford becomes the Associate Minister of Mines as part of the Ministry of Mines. Trevor Jones becomes Associate Minister of Emergency Preparedness and Response as part of the Treasury Board Secretariat. Sam Oosterhoff becomes Associate Minister of Energy Intensive Industries as part of the Ministry of Energy and Electrification. Ah, Doug gave Steven a buddy. Oh, Steven said they're gonna be so cute together.
Did we
Oh,
have we addressed the 19-week
coming.
shutdown? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if we did or not.
I mentioned it in passing, but we're
Okay.
going to get into that. Nolan Quinn becomes Associate Minister of Forestry as part of the Ministry of Natural Resources. Nina Tangri remains Associate Minister of Small Business as part of the Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. Vijay Thanigasalam becomes Associate Minister of Housing as part of the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Michael Tibolo remains Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addictions as part of the Ministry of Health. And Charmaine Williams remains Associate Minister of Women's Social and Economic Opportunity as part of the Ministry of Children, Community, and Social Services. And how delightful that the Minister of Women's Social and Economic Opportunity and the Ministry of Community, Social, and as part of the Ministry of Children, Community, and Social Services is dead last. But last, well, dead last, I should say, because it's written in addition outside of cabinet. So technically not a member of cabinet, but you know how people think that conservatives don't believe in recycling?
Mm-hmm.
That's not true. It's not true at all. Not true at all.
Cabinet members.
No. In addition, outside of cabinet, newly appointed to government House Leader, none other than Steve Clark.
Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The former Minister of Housing who saw nothing.
During that whole Greenbelt scandal, didn't know anything about it. Yeah. Somehow I don't believe him. I don't.
Though the guy Amato was working in his office, saw nothing, knew nothing, didn't ask questions.
See, you know the difference between Pierre Poilievre and Doug Ford?
Please.
Well, there's a few differences. Doug Ford is a money lover. I don't think he's as fixated on power as he is on money. Completely honest. Doug Ford doesn't get his hands dirty when it comes to women's reproductive rights, the rainbow community. He's like live and let live when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And Doug's not angry and pissed off all the time.
Right.
Whereas Pierre Poilievre is all of those things. He's angry. He's pissed off all the time. You know, he will strike down gay marriage, or I should say same-sex marriage. You know that's on the table. Yeah.
He says he won't. And there's the thing is that, but he says he won't. And he actually put out that statement. He had to do it again on the 5th.
Yeah.
Nobody's believing him.
Nobody's believing him. And do you remember what Arnold Viersen just said in a podcast, right? And he says, the leader, he's like, no, he'll say, no, I'm not going to do it. Well, maybe he won't. But a private member's bill will get pushed through and they'll codify a law around
Let's put it
right
this way.
to make that choice.
If the Conservative Party of Canada actually did the polls that what election had today, and they had 200 and something plus seats. So they have a clear majority.
Right.
And the majority of their caucus is anti-choice.
Oh, it is.
What are the odds that a backbench bill will pass?
I'd say
no matter what PP says.
Pretty darn good.
Come on.
He's playing people for fools. I have read online where he has gone out to, he was at a rally and there was a bunch of people outside protesting a woman's right to make that medical decision. And the rumor I heard was he addressed them and said, I'm with you all the way. This is what he tells the anti-choice folks.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's that similar thing. Pierre Poilievre, you say you will not touch a woman's right to choose. Full stop. I will not say period. Full stop.
Full stop.
Unequivocal. Why are you taking meetings?
Yeah.
With Campaign Life?
He personally won't do it.
Why are you letting your staff? Why are you letting your MPs? Why? if you can't go all the way, you can't be trusted.
Well, this quote on the screen from Saucy Sea, which the Conservative Party is not letting anyone run unless they are anti-abortion now. They're being funded by anti-abortion coalitions. Pierre is lying. That is fact, because every time somebody wants to run somewhere in a constituency, anywhere in the country, as a Conservative member of Parliament,
Yep.
unless they are pro-life, if they are pro-choice, they're eliminated.
Yep. And there's a third one. We're
Mhm.
now down to 3 women. But before we get to there, you wanted to talk about the 19 weeks because, yes,
This
Doug
guy's
Ford, and which I think, that's why I'm saying, I think he's tried this move before. Hey, guys, shuffling my cabinet and see ya, wouldn't want to be ya.
Bye. Yeah.
Not coming back until October. October. Inflation, hospitals, the whole kid caboodle. Not coming back till October. He done.
None of that matters to him. Hey, man, I got to keep Galen Weston happy.
Jeez. God. Did you have anything specific you wanted to say about that, Mr. Grizzly?
No, I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that, the TTC is about to go on strike. So Canada's largest city,
Right.
the main public transit system, it's not the sole public transit system, but it's the main one, because there's the GO system of rail and buses. But that's more a commuter rail than it is for getting around the city, right? So
Right.
city buses, streetcars, and subway are all about to shut down. What's Doug do? Not my problem. Wash my hands of it and take off. Let Chow deal with it.
Yep.
It's just astonishing to me that he doesn't give a shit. There's no money in it for him or his, puppet masters. He doesn't care.
No, not at all.
Doesn't care. Why do you think he let us flounder for 3 weeks in Ottawa during the occupation? It was his responsibility, not the Prime Minister's. It was his responsibility to take care of it, and he did nothing. He didn't lift a finger until Joe Biden got on the phone and said, "Get that bridge cleared in Windsor, or I'll do it for you."
Mm-hmm.
That got fixed pretty quick, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Declared a state of emergency and had that bridge cleared right away. Why? Because there was billions of dollars involved. But when the poor people of Centertown, because we are the poorest ward in the city of Ottawa, we're getting hassled for 3+ weeks, he didn't give a shit. And let's not forget his daughter and son-in-law were camped out here during that entire time period.
Jeez.
Draw your own conclusions. I'm just putting the info out there for you.
Yeah.
Not telling you how to think or what to think.
Now, with regard to making sure that they only have the choicest or anti-choicest candidates. I beg your pardon for what I'm about to do,
Okay.
but from the Western Standard,
Oh, that's a source.
they have the exclusive.
There you go.
Calgary Conservative nomination candidates disqualified from race. And I am going to have a little bit of schadenfreude because there were 2 candidates disqualified, and one of them makes me really, really happy. Sorry, happy, but my petty happy. Here we go. Conservative nomination candidates Leela Ahir and Wyatt Claypool, Calgary, Signal Hill, Alberta, have been barred from running in the race to become the next candidate, the Western Standard has learned. While Ahir has not commented about being disqualified, a source confirmed to the Western Standard this is the case. Ahir was elected as the Alberta Wildrose MLA for Chestermere Rocky View in 2015. She became the Alberta United Conservative Party MLA for Chestermere Strathmore in 2019. Upon the Alberta UCP forming government in 2019, she was appointed Culture, Multiculturalism and Status of Women Minister. However, she was kicked out of cabinet in 2021 for speaking out against former Alberta Premier Jason Kenney. She ran in the 2022 UCP leadership. Not necessarily a bad thing, but it matters how and why. She ran in the 2022 UCP leadership race, finishing in 7th place. After she lost the leadership race, she opted not to seek re-election. Claypool works as the senior correspondent at Canadian conservative blog The National Telegraph. He holds a bachelor's degree in policy studies from Mount Royal University and a master's degree in public policy from the University of Calgary. And you look at his face, he looks too young to have those two things, but he definitely does. Claypool did confirm he had been disqualified. In 2004, he pointed out conservative leader Pierre Poilievre ran at 24 years old to become an MP like he was trying to do. Claypool said he received an email on Wednesday morning about him being barred from being a conservative nomination candidate. The National Candidate Selection Committee, NCSC, has declined his application. While he was disqualified, he said the NCSC did not provide him with a reason. However, he will be appealing the disqualification. If he had to speculate a reason, he said it would be certain conservative insiders do not want him in the nomination race. Based on what he had been hearing in the background, he said he was unsurprised. He accused insiders of favoring conservative nomination candidate Jeremy Nixon. He said Nixon, quote, won't blow the whistle on anything. While the appeal is in now, he said it can take a while to hear back. If the Conservatives do not get back to him in a few days, he said it has, quote, effectively destroyed my ability to actually campaign. This is because the voting date has to happen on or before June 24th. While he does not believe Poilievre is... Bless your heart, my child, you're 24. While he does not believe Poilievre is behind his disqualification, he alleged insiders want pliable candidates. And who do the insiders work for, Wyatt? You're almost there.
Very
Keep
close.
going. Keep going. You'll get there. But no, he seems to be finding himself a way to still vote for him, despite getting screwed. So, dude, love yourself. Love yourself. Respect yourself, man. Don't vote for the party that turfed you wouldn't give you a reason. Have a little pride. Dude, come on. You're too young to be selling out.
I'm answering a question from Ali Oleha.
Okay.
It says this is regards to the occupation. He says, as per a judge, the action taken against the Freedom Convoy was completely illegal. Any comment on that? And I did post a comment in the chat, and it's directly from the judge. Mosley heard arguments in court over 3 days last April. He wrote that at the outset of the proceedings, he felt the protests in Ottawa and elsewhere went beyond legitimate protests and reflected an unacceptable breakdown of public order. He said he reached his decision with the benefit of hindsight and a more extensive record of facts and law than Cabinet had available to it when it made its decision. Yeah, see, here's the thing. It was not completely illegal. He felt that it was not a national emergency, that the Emergencies Act, which is not, you don't have to enact it right across the country. You can do surgical strikes. He thought doing it right across the country was wrong. It should have been done Ottawa, Windsor, Coutts, and perhaps Manitoba. So there, that addresses that. It was not completely illegal. That was never the case. So
No,
I hope that answers your question.
it was not illegal. There were one or two things. There was the judge could not bring himself to say that it was a national emergency.
Correct.
I guess because of the manner in which that is defined in the CSIS Act. But he did say that that should probably be revised.
Yes.
In order to do that, because it needs to be. And he said that there were a few things, like, for example, the fact that when bank accounts were seized, there wasn't an independent sort of third-party adjudicator who would determine whether or not that information should go to the police and the bank account should be seized. So in order, basically, the police was making the request of the bank and the bank was responding. It would have to be that the police makes the request of the bank brings the information to this independent body along with the police request. They look at it and then they determine whether or not.
Right.
So that was the thing. But the seizing of the bank accounts in and of itself was not a problem. It's the
CRA
fact
does
that
it
it
all the
wasn't.
time.
It's the fact that it wasn't done in such a way as to create minimal harm.
And there were only, 47 accounts seized right across the country? Was it even that many? 47 or 27? I can't remember.
I can't remember off the top.
It wasn't that many. It wasn't close to the number of people that were protesting.
Mm-hmm. Can't remember the person's name off the top of my head, Mr. Grizzly. Sorry, because I can't see the name on the screen.
Ali Odeha?
Okay. Ali, if you'd want to know more, we did a specific episode on the federal court justice Richard Mosley's legal decision. We read it all from beginning to end and did an analysis of it. So if you want to look through our back podcasts, and you remember that around the time of year it came out, look around then, and you will find it. We went in depth. I think it was almost a 3-hour special when we did that. And there's a thread that also goes with it. If you look up Twitter, if you do the search, at True Eager, and then Federal Court Justice Richard. If you write that, it'll probably come right up for you. You'll be able to find it.
Yeah, we have like a 3-hour episode where you did all of the reading. I did a little bit of commentary, but you did the deep dive on it. And that particular episode, everybody who was watching was like, "Wow, thank you." We weren't really informed up until this point, because let's face it, on the news you're just getting a minute, 2-minute sound bites, whereas we can do as long form as we want.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll try to find it for you while we're doing the show, and get Mr. Grizzly to put it up in the chat for you. But yeah, we got okay. There we go. I have the thread here, Mr. Grizzly, that I will send to you.
Just put it in the private chat, and I can post it.
I'm not sure I can.
Oh, you're on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on the phone, yeah.
Okay, just send it to me on your phone, and I'll
MacGyvering this one, and then I'll try to find the actual podcast too. But this one's at least the text.
Okay. Give me a moment. I have to run and take care of something. I will be right back.
Absolutely. And I actually did not send the right thing, I think. But anyway, we'll figure it out, because since I'm alone now, I don't. I'm going to stay with you, kids and cubs. I don't remember where we were when that happened. Sorry, when we. I think we were done the previous subject when Mr. Grizzly switched over. So, all right, we've got that stuff. So yeah, we've had the shuffle from Doug Ford. We have the interesting behavior with regard to foreign interference. So those things are happening. And oh yes, this was the other thing that happened yesterday with regard to the foreign interference file. They were talking about it at a committee, and again, about releasing files and all that kind of stuff. And Jennifer O'Connell posted something that said, "Conservative MPs don't like being called out for their hypocrisy when it comes to foreign interference, so they take to Twitter to make things up. Here's the unedited interaction." Yes. And hopefully Mr. Grizzly will come back and I'll be able to put that to you. But the thing is that somebody said something, and apparently she said, right, boo-hoo, get over it. And if you only heard that and you were seeing what was going on in conservatives' feeds, and particularly that of Mercedes Stephenson from Global News, it was reported as Jennifer O'Connell, the MP, said, "Boo-hoo, get over it," when someone asked for the names to be released, which creates the impression the Liberals are going, "No, we will not release the names. Get over it." Well, that's not exactly what happened. What happened was that they were in committee, and it seems that man who is pro torturing children with conversion therapy, Garnet Genuis, had a point of order, I believe, of some kind, or personal privilege, one of the two, and was upset that Jennifer O'Connell, allegedly, according to him, was screaming and all that kind of stuff.
She wasn't screaming. She wasn't screaming, but it's less than allegedly. She actually did say,
Yeah, she's heckling.
"Boo-hoo."
Yeah, absolutely. But she said, "Boo-hoo, get over it," to his complaint
Yes.
that she was screaming and not in any way to request that the names be released. Mr. Grizzly, I sent you through your through text the link so people so we can show it to the kids.
I have it here for the Jennifer.
Yes.
Yeah, just give me a second. I have it.
So anybody who would have looked at the tape before starting to write about this can see clearly, can hear clearly that Boohoo Get Over It applies to Garnet Genuis deciding to be a whiny little baby.
Here we go.
Minister, I wanted to focus on foreign interference and its impact on diaspora communities, something that Mr. Virani actually touched on in his opening testimony. I know you've spoken about in the past as well.
Point of order, Chair.
Mr. Dennis on point of order.
Thank you, Chair. During Mr. Caputo's round at the end, Ms. O'Connell was literally shouting at him across the floor, and now she's saying, "Boo-hoo, get over it."
Thank you.
Respectfully,
Thank you.
Chair,
Thank you.
I think you should call this member to order. It is a point of order.
Thank you.
You're shouting.
Mr. Dennis.
Shouting
Mr.
at another
Dennis.
member. No, sorry, I've got a point of
Speak
order.
to the chair, please.
Great.
I hear your point of order. I
Thank
would
you.
encourage all members to not talk across the table,
Yeah.
to talk through the chair when they recognize. It would be helpful to us all.
I hope you'll call Ms. O'Connell to order because she wasn't cross-talking. She was shouting in order to disrupt Mr. Caputo's round of questions.
Mr. Gahir, go ahead, please.
Great, thank you, Chair.
What a nurse. Like,
Really?
I mean,
But they took that one line, completely dissociated, and said, "We want to know. We want to release the names. Boo-hoo, get over it. You're not get." That's what they're saying went down. Is that what you saw, kids? Did you see someone clamoring, demanding the names like this, and her telling them to get a boo-hoo? You're not going to get it, so get over it. Is that what you all saw? Because that's the story. That's the way the conservatives are telling it.
Mm-hmm. It's not the case. And I mean, her tweet, she even justifies it, saying in her tweet, she says, conservative MPs don't like being called out for their hypocrisy when it comes to foreign interference. So they take to Twitter to make things up. Here's the unedited interaction that you just saw.
Yep. And if you will, I sent you the link to what Mercedes Stevenson of Global had put out.
Mm-hmm. Just a second here. I have to email these to myself. So
Yeah. So I believe the first one was I think a three-part thread. Yes.
you can DM these to me via Twitter, and I can get them easier that way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be okay.
Just do
Okay.
that. Send
Yeah.
me the Mercedes Stevenson one via Twitter because it's I can open it that way.
Okay, absolutely. Sending it to you, Paul. Sorry, because you need to talk, because we got dead air.
Yeah, no worries. So, trying to keep things rolling here while I sort of eat breakfast and run 3 different meetings while still trying to produce a podcast and appear on it at the same time. As it occurs to me, they say that men are incapable of multitasking, but I've clearly proven to myself and to everyone watching that I can do it. I don't know if I'm very good at it, but I certainly can do it. Now, that might have something to do with the ADHD OCD brain that I have, because, we're capable of concentrating on 4 different things at once and getting nothing done all at the same time. That's just... Yeah, I got lots of things started, nothing finished. Although I could get hyper-focused onto one task and stick on that, and next thing you know, I've stripped the paint and repainted my entire apartment, which, by the way, I hate doing. I would rather eat dirt than paint. I hate it so much. Well, the problem is when you have an OCD brain, when you paint, you see every single imperfection, and I can't get my head around it. So it's like, no, I'll pay somebody else to do it, because it just drives me crazy, because all I see is imperfections, and I can never get it the way I want, because it's an older building and it's not drywall, it's plaster, so it's not perfect, and it's been painted. Like, there's some sections that have been painted probably 50, 60 times, because I was putting something up and I was stripping stuff off the wall, and sure enough, there was the paint. So anyway, that's how she goes.
All right, there you go. I believe I got the thing to you from Mercedes.
Oh, everything good today?
Mr. Oh, okay. I think I lost Mr. Grizzly for a bit. And I can't put him on mute, so I don't think he knows he's not on mute. We can hear him a little bit. Okay.
Probably, yeah.
All right. Hold on. Mr. Grizzly, we can hear you. All right, there you go. Just don't want a private conversation to be broadcast. So yeah, okay. I'm kind of stuck there because I was going to talk, but I'll read it instead. Mercedes Stevenson wrote, at the SCCU committee meeting on parliamentarians allegedly engaging in domestic collaboration with foreign governments to the detriment of Canada, Liberal Jennifer O'Connell heckling and laughing, CPC Caputo demands release of names, LeBlanc refuses, says it's irresponsible. O'Connell to the Conservatives demanding the release of names. Boo-hoo, get over it. Justice and Public Safety Ministers cite introduction of new laws to address foreign interference. Note these laws aren't in place yet, and they're not retroactive. Now, this is a 3-thread tweet, and the second tweet in it is O'Connell to the Conservatives demanding the release of names. Boo-hoo, get over it. So when I saw it for the first time, I only saw the second tweet in the thread, and I'm going like, gee, you had extra characters. Could you have not provided a little context? Perhaps, like, boohoo, get over it to what? And then I saw that there was, after that, the full thread, and I thought, okay, yeah, great. There's some context. That's good. But Jennifer O'Connell saw that, and she basically chastised Mercedes. She says, that's not accurate, and you kind of know it. And I have to say, much to my surprise, but pleasant surprise, Mercedes Stevenson did rewrite the tweet to make it more reflective of what actually happened. The problem is, because I was able to read it to you, she didn't take down the incorrect one, though.
Okay, I'm looking at a tweet from Jason.
Yeah, we can go there. The third one, the first one in the series, I sent you 3. The first one is Mercedes.
Oh, hang on. Let me go back then. Hang on.
Yeah, there are 3 waiting for you.
Okay, sorry. I went straight to the bottom there. Okay, there's them. Sorry, I didn't see that. It just popped up at the very last one. Yeah, all right, hang on. I will pop this up. Sorry, I left my mic on there. I meant to shut everything off, and I missed the button. Trying to do 3 things at once. So let's start with Mercedes. I'll put this on the screen, and I'll read it to you.
Oh, no, I read it.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had read it while you were chatting. But so this is the first one. Now show this if you click on it, because it's a 3 thread.
Mm-hmm.
Well, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, keep going. So that's what I mean. See the second one?
Mm-hmm.
It's just on its own. O'Connell. So that tweet is circulating alone, and then people turn around and say, "Oh my God, that's So, which is not what happened.
No.
Which is not what happened. So yeah. Yes. Now this is the clip that I was talking about Pierre Poilievre leading off with his question that was lame, and Dominique Leblanc pretty much owning him.
Okay, here we go.
have a right to know who and what the information was.
Committee indicates there are members of this House that have knowingly worked for foreign hostile governments. Canadians have a right to know who and what is the information. Who are they?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
The leader of the opposition, no government, including the government of which he was a member, is going to discuss particularities of intelligence information publicly, so he knows better than that. But the good news, Mr. Speaker, is if he wanted to get the appropriate security clearance and be able to see the confidential report of the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, he would be much more informed than he is now, and we would invite him to do so he wouldn't stand up and cast aspersions on the floor of the House of Commons without any information whatsoever.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Well.
Well. So, but you see, PP just phoned it in.
Mm-hmm.
After 89 years of Justin Trudeau, we're going to accept none of that. His heart's not in it. Why? And why did he leave himself as being he never leaves himself as being that big of a sitting duck.
I have the tweet here. Jennifer O'Connell's response to Mercedes Stevenson. I'll put this on the screen and read it out. Yeah, just give me a second here. I'm only working with one screen, so it's a little bit more of a challenge today. So Mercedes Stevenson, as we said earlier, O'Connell to the Conservatives demanding the release of names, boo-hoo, get over it. Jennifer O'Connell's response to Mercedes is, Mercedes, this is a mischaracterization. I was responding to frustrated CPC MPs complaining with points of order because their juvenile theatric attempts to generate dishonest social media clips failed spectacularly. Anyone can watch the interaction to see your claims are false. Like, ooh.
Yeah. Keep going below.
Oh, sorry.
I think because Mercedes, I believe, answered.
Hi, Miss O'Connell. We are posting the video. Yes, she did. Yeah.
There you go. But you still should have removed.
Yeah.
The inaccurate tweet.
Like you're not.
There's no point in correcting information if you still leave the inaccurate information up.
Mm-hmm.
Do the full job.
You made the retraction, but unfortunately you didn't do the retraction. You said it, but you didn't do it. Retraction is not even the right term there. I'm losing my words. I tried to describe the other day. I was having a conversation, and I said they took away the Fair Elections Act, basically eliminated disenfranchised from voting. And my buddy looks at me and he goes, disenfranchised can't vote. I'm like, you're right. That's the wrong term. I'm looking for another term. And it was disincentivizes, or no. And it was the downtrodden, I guess, is the word I was looking for.
Okay.
My vocabulary is kind of, I think the concussions are beginning to catch up with me is what I'm saying. Could be fatigue. I don't know.
Okay. All right. And then there's one more, I believe, that I have for you in there, just before the one that you found from
Jason?
Yes, from Jason. Yeah. Now, this is, remember when I told you about the two Conservative MPs that were training for the Olympics to avoid questions?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they got a little segment of them, of how they...
So
handled.
I'll read the tweet. Watch, Conservative Party of Canada MPs scurry from reporters' questions about foreign interference. So not for lack of trying, but my colleagues in the parliamentary press gallery there are not finding any Conservatives wanting to speak about this. So let's watch the clip.
Yeah.
What about the Conservatives? And just to remind people, we don't know what party, which region of the country the parliamentarians involved here may or may not represent. I want to just show you just a scene from the hallway, because we did not have lengthy scrums from any MPs on the Conservative side on their way in. It was a whole lot of this. Take a listen.
Any comment on foreign interference? Are you concerned about people in your caucus wittingly collaborating?
So, not for lack of trying, but my colleagues in the parliamentary press gallery there not finding any Conservative.
The video's glitching.
That's all right. It's
wanting to speak about this yesterday in question period, the leader of the NDP, the leader of the Bloc, asking questions about this, not the opposition leader. I will note, though, Pierre Poilievre's and his party
Come on.
did sort of release a statement earlier in the week.
Okay, enough of that. It's just not working, so I'm going to kill it.
Yeah. So yeah, kids and cubs. It's not the most stellar performance. Conservatives are horrible when they're off script.
Oh yeah.
They're horrible. I mean, we and like really interesting examples. I mean, we had the Rachel Thomas thing the other day where I guess she had gone too far and said, "Oh, I've said too much."
Well, she did the whole which one about the CBC or
Yeah, the CBC.
Yeah.
I support my leader. I support my leader.
No, that was a different thing. That was a while ago. But yeah, no, she went off on the CBC the other day for not showing the Oilers.
Yes, that's a different one. Yes, that's the other one. That's yes.
I'm like, well, you understand that the CBC doesn't own the rights to those games. They have to pay for them from Rogers. Because when Stephen Harper was Prime Minister and he cut funding to the CBC could not afford to bid on Hockey Night in Canada, which was their cash cow, by the way. The same reason they lost the rights to the Hockey Night in Canada theme song.
Yep.
They didn't have the budget to bid on it. Now, somebody did say the other day, and I completely agree with them, well, they paid out all the bonuses to their top executives. You're right. I agree. That should not have happened. I said that months ago when they said we're going to have to cut 600 jobs. Okay, but what about this line item here about the executive pay bonuses? Well, we'll cross that bridge when they all got them. So it's like, no, Miss Tate, it's time for you to leave because you clearly don't give a damn about any of the people that make your network run. Paying top executives bonuses when you fire 600 people? No. Not cool.
I'm right with you.
Not cool.
No, she's not. She's not the one for that job.
No, it's time for her to go. I'm sorry. You can't. Well, the bonuses were. I don't give a damn. You just fired 600 people. Yeah. They don't have a job now. So don't hand out bonuses to anybody. Take those bonuses and put that into the 600 people and keep them employed.
Yeah. So Rachel Thomas at committee, because there's another video, but I won't show it because their video is not working. She said in the video, she's saying she's at committee and she's like sitting at the table with a bunch of people and she's reading from papers and she's questioning someone. Given the CBC receives $1.4 billion from taxpayers, the CBC holds the rights to broadcast the NHL playoffs. The CBC chose not to broadcast the Edmonton Oilers game that sent them to the Stanley Cup finals. The committee calls on the CBC to commit to broadcasting all Stanley Cup final games and report this finding to the House. The vote is on the motion of Rachel Thomas, says Hedy Fry. Mr. Mohammed, they're calling the votes no. Mr. Coteau votes no. Miss Dillahan votes no. Miss Gainey votes no. Madame Lapointe votes no. And the votes continue. The Liberal Party voted against that. Now, at first, you said that, well, wait a minute, why would the Liberal Party vote against the CBC hosting the Stanley Cup playoffs, especially like Edmonton?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because Canada's team, we haven't had a Canadian team in God knows how long. Screw you, Bettman. Sorry, did that just come out?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Ottawa was the last Canadian team in the finals.
Her tweet, spoiler alert, the Liberals voted no to calling on the CBC to broadcast the Stanley Cup finals. Taxpayers give $1.4 billion a year to CBC. The CBC has the rights to broadcast the playoffs. The Edmonton Oilers are representing Canada against the Panthers. Canadians deserve unhindered access. Oh.
Aren't you the party that wants to defund the CBC?
I read. Oh, so now you like the CBC?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Edmonton Oilers won Game 5, and the only thing she could do is, rather than celebrating the joy, is, why was it on Sportsnet? It's like, and as you pointed out, Mr. Grizzly, sometime around 2013, when the Rights for Hockey Night in Canada came back along, yes, when the board of the CBC was stacked with donors to the Conservative Party of Canada that Harper had appointed, yes, and the Conservatives don't like the CBC and don't want it to survive. Well, what did they do? When it came time to renegotiate the rights for the Hockey Night in Canada theme song, well, they decided, it was so popular, the person that wrote it, upped the price for the rights, and they decided that, they didn't want to pay the woman for the value of her work.
Mm-hmm. And here's a great statement from Cassie. If they broadcast the games, Conservatives would complain about the cost. There's no winning.
Yep.
There's no winning with this group.
Yep.
We're going to lose with them. No matter what you do, they're going to find fault with it.
Yeah.
Find fault with it.
Yeah. And then there was the question of rights for the Hockey Night in Canada games, which that made it such eventually that Hockey Night in Canada wasn't exclusively on CBC.
Correct.
Now, here's the thing, because Conservatives can't seem to grasp this concept. Just like the federal government does not tell the correctional services what to do with the prisoners, or the parole board when to give parole, or judges when to give bail. The Liberal Party of Canada does not conduct programming at the CBC.
No, never have.
Now, maybe you guys were when you stacked the board. And maybe that's why you think that the Liberals have the power to do this. Because you were doing it. But no, Muffin. The federal government does not dictate the programming on CBC.
No.
So if you're asking the Liberals on that committee to demand, to force the CBC to cover those matches when the contract is already written like this. So basically, what you're really asking is for the CBC to blow a whole bunch of money on a useless legal fight, the faster to sink it even more.
Mm-hmm. Well, from Saucy Sea Witch, there are people who can't watch hockey games because they don't have a home. Perhaps that should be a priority. I mean...
So what we got going here, but there's a reason that this matters, because what we got going on here, right? The Conservatives, they're the populists.
Mm-hmm.
This is a populism play.
That's all it is.
She's holier than thou, more patriotic than the Liberals, because she wants that Stanley Cup hockey on CBC, the national broadcaster who's supposed to carry Canadian stories for all the Canadians to see. But she also wants to turn CBC offices into housing for homeless people.
Yeah, they want it both ways, which is not possible. So please explain to me how any of this is doable, because they don't have any plans whatsoever. All they do is oppose. You're supposed to oppose and propose. Just because you're in opposition doesn't mean you say no to everything. You can oppose a bill that's tabled and propose changes to it. That's how government's supposed to work, to the benefit of all Canadians. Because I don't care what party you are a member or a representative thereof, you represent all Canadians when you're in the House of Commons. You represent every member, every person in your riding, every constituent. Doesn't matter what their party affiliation is or who they voted for. You're the one elected, you have to represent that person too. And they seem to have lost sight of that. And it really drove it home when Candice Bergen stood up in the House of Commons when Zelensky was here and said, Conservatives will stand beside you. Where every other leader said, Canadians will stand behind you. So they seem to think of themselves differently than the rest of us. Maybe that's why they say no to things like pharmacare, dental care, child care, a national school lunch program. Actually, it's a school food program, not a lunch program.
Yeah. See, that's an interesting theory, because mine is slightly different. But I can see how yours works a lot. Mine is, the Conservatives are so inherently dishonest and corrupt they assume everybody else is too. So the reason they accuse everybody of committing some type of crime or being unethical or being corrupt every 5 goddamn minutes is because they cannot imagine a world or a reality in which other people are not as corrupt as they are.
That's a good theory too.
So they do it first. Get them before they get you.
A great number of them are dominionists, right? Which means that they feel that according to some sort of biblical study or statement or divinity of whatever deity you wish to worship, that they are the ones to form government, and they want a religious state. PBCC is behind this. The Dutch reformers behind this. They want Gilead. They want The Handmaid's Tale to become reality.
Yep.
And you think I'm being hyperbolic? I'm not.
Yep.
Listen to people in the know, like our friend David Wallace, who has talked about this and said, this is what these people want.
Yep, absolutely. And they're doing what they need to do to get it.
They are.
So, yeah. But this is, look at me. I'm holier than thou, more patriotic than you. Let's put some action for action's sake. Get the CBC to do that. Let's make it look like I'm doing something. One of the 14 characteristics of fascism, according to philosopher Umberto Eco.
Yes.
The cult of action for action's sake. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. She's sitting there like this. I care more about Canada. I'm more patriotic than you because I want the Oilers on the CBC. And you won't allow that to happen. Duty heads.
What they fail to realize...
They're asking them to rip up a contract and break and incur tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees.
What I'm getting at here is the women that are in the Conservative Party do not realize that if the Conservative Party gains power and they get what they want, they will slowly eliminate women from cabinet.
They are already.
They're doing it already.
They're not even allowing them to run.
They won't let you run if you're pro-choice. You don't get to run.
See, but here's the thing, right? In those 3 ridings where they eliminated the 3 women, the person they nominated were men. They didn't even nominate another woman who was not who was anti-choice. They just nominated men.
They think they're going to win the next election. They're so convinced that they're going to win the next election that they'll just slowly start eliminating women right now. They'll keep a few around, the useful ones, like Leslyn Lewis, because she represents, 2 demographics there, right?
Oh, sorry. Did I say that, sir? Yeah. So, but it's like
they don't even realize they're being used, though. That's the worst part.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry, we're just full up on women. We don't need any more. Thank you. We've reached our quota.
Well, and there are women who want to run for the Conservative Party who thinks it's still the Joe Clark Progressive Conservative Party or the Brian Mulroney Conservative Party. It's not. That party's been gone for 21 years. It doesn't exist.
No.
This is a CINO, conservative in name only. This is the Reform Party. This is Bible-thumping reformers who want to remake Canada in their image.
Tea Party Canada.
Stephen Harper said, you won't recognize Canada when I'm done with it. I'm like, what? Farley Mowat said he is the most dangerous person to ever assume an office of that nature in the history of this nation. Farley Mowat was a learned individual. Farley Mowat was a great writer. Farley Mowat was not wrong. And if Pierre Poilievre gets in there, put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. If you are a progressive, if you are a liberal, if you are a member of the NDP, it's over. It's over. It is over. So tell everyone that you know to get out. Vote. Vote for whomever you want. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not even going to say don't vote Conservative. But if you're going to vote Conservative, be aware of what you're voting for. But I need everybody to vote in the next election. Everybody has to vote. And again, not telling you who to vote for. We would
and
never
bring friends with you.
We would never tell you who to vote for. But
we tell you not to vote for them.
Well, we'll advise you against.
Don't vote for assholes.
Exactly. If you're going to vote for Conservative, know what you're getting yourself into. Don't say, well, I've always voted conservative, because we had Nate talked about how he was on a show once and he talked about how he was in a diner and they were interviewing people, and it was a father and son sitting there. And they said to the father, who are you voting for? He says, well, I'll vote conservative. I've always voted conservative. And the son looked at the father and said, but Dad, these people don't even want me to exist, because the son is gay and out. He says, they don't even want me to exist, but I've always voted conservative. Don't do that. Make an informed decision when you cast that ballot.
Variety is the spice of life.
Well, I mean, if the people who want to get into power don't want you to exist because you're not cis het white male, maybe don't vote for them. Heed my warning. Understand something, okay? I personally will not be negatively impacted by their policies. Personally.
Mm-hmm.
However, friends, family, colleagues, co-workers, loved ones, they will be harmed by this. So I can't stand idly by and say, well, I'm fine. No, I'm not fine. Because if everyone I know and care about and love is hurt, well, I'm not fine with that. And I don't care that my life might even get a little bit better under them. It won't, though, because I'm not middle class. I'm below middle class. I'm working class. So I'll get taxed up the ass, and services that I could use or utilize will be cut to the bone, if not cut completely. So it technically won't benefit me in any way. But some of their policies that they will enact, like, putting an end to same-sex marriage, restricting LGBT, rainbow rights, restricting a woman's right to make a choice, birth control will be next, I guarantee you. Forced birth will be a thing with them. None of those things will affect me directly. But indirectly, yeah, they will. Because my friend here, my brother, my partner, he will be harmed by these issues. They will directly harm him.
Yep.
Directly harm him. And because we speak out about it.
I'm high up on the list.
And I'm on the list too, because I speak out about it.
Yep.
Do I regret that? Not a split second. Nope.
Well,
no
let's
regrets.
not make a joke of it. Let's not pretend that's not happening. We're being monitored.
Oh, yeah. Of course we are. We know that.
By that side. Well,
but here's the thing.
We're being monitored by both sides.
But we're only speaking the truth. Do I sound hyperbolic? Maybe, but I'm not. What I'm telling you is what they want. I'm warning you that people will lose their way of life.
Yep.
People will lose their ability to live authentically as they are. People will go back into the closet. People will have to live lies just to exist in this world. Do you want that? Because I sure as hell don't.
I don't want that at all. All right.
So make an informed decision when you vote. That's my words of wisdom today.
There you go. Coming in a little early.
But we are almost 3 hours here, and I got to run to another meeting in a few minutes. So.
All right. Well, there we go. Yeah, that's enough for today. Kits and cups. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. We hope that you love listening to us because we loved making this for you. Remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So we want you to tell your peeps and poops all about us. Just because we got to 1,000, well, actually 1,100 something now.
50.
Don't stop now.
Oh, hell no. Keep it rolling.
Don't stop me. I'm having a good time. Tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really, really, really appreciate it when you do that. It means a lot to us. If you would like to make sure that you do not miss an episode, well, you do not have to, thanks to the Ray Girl. She's fun. She's flirty. She's fabulous. And she sponsors our pod page. So if you scamper and scan that QR code, that's right under my chin. That will bring you right there. podpage.com/TheTrueNorthEagerBeaver. All in lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you click subscribe there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. And if you would like to support us in other ways, Kit Elaine, where are you? Make like lay there you go, right on cue. Have you on an awesome day, everyone, and remember to smash the button before you leave. I think that may be the first time I got there before you did. I was wondering. You usually show up right on time. Well, yeah, I was premature. You were on time. You're always on time. Let's put it that way. Please go there, True North Eager Beaver media page, and click our buttons, like, share, subscribe. It makes us very happy, and today we are extremely happy because we crossed 1,000. So I guess if we crossed 2,000, we'd be even much more happy. Once you have one, you want two. It's just human nature.
Well, and all of our past. So in the live shows, obviously they don't insert ads in the live shows. That's why we put, after the live show gets done, I put it up and we repost it as a repeat. Those are where the ads go. Obviously, they can't place ads in a live stream, but when we repost and rebroadcast, the ads go there. So yeah, if you want to share some of our past shows with people, that would help us out a lot.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Especially like, if you have some favorites from past, either favorite interviews or favorite topics when we did dives on something. Yeah, please. Yes, absolutely. Send them out there. If you would like to support us in other ways, Kids and Cubs, the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's Head brings you to our coffee page, and that is where you can make a contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund. We are so grateful that you do, and because you do, Kids and Cubs, we do have a few people to thank. Because, have you been generous, I have to say. So first, thank you to Kit Vim, my dear. I appreciate it. Who says, I love you guys. I'm so happy people are recognizing how amazing your podcast is.
Thank you.
Wow, that's a deep, warm fuzzy from me. Thank you so much. And Vim was quite kind. Let's put that. And then Kit Wishful Son, equally quite kind, I will say. Love as always. Keep it up, Messieurs Beaver and Grizzly. Thank you so much. And Kit Cassie, keep going and growing, lads. I love that. And Kit Tavi G gave us something as well with, I believe, no comment. Just a little attaboys, I guess.
Thank you.
And I believe I have another one from Kit Vim again, since I last gave a shout out. Also, very kind to us, stating, thank you, Paul and Douglas, for always starting our days off right.
Our pleasure.
And then we have Kit Wendy, who on 3 occasions in the month of May sent us a little something with, cheers, guys. You're the best. Appreciate you. Keep up the good work. And just good pats on the back like that. So thank you, Kits and Cubs. You're wonderful. You're wonderful. You're wonderful. And Kits and Cubs, we do have, we're not wearing them today, but our Mental Health Walk t-shirts. If you would like to get one, please do. We're selling them for $35 each. We are able to do, I think we're able to do them in 2XL because somebody asked. And
Did you get, I forwarded you an email of an e-money transfer?
Yes.
You
Kit
did
Michael.
get that? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Was it Michael? Sorry, yeah.
Yes, Kit Michael.
Just want to make sure.
One.
Because
So
just
thank you
as
very
long as you acknowledge that you get it, because I don't know if you receive it or not.
Oh,
right?
perfect. I will do that. So yes, Kit Michael bought one, and I believe that Kit Dan is committed to buy one, and I think Kit Mr. Jim had asked if a 2XL was possible. I will look into that too for you, but I think it is. And I know that some kits I saw in the chat some while ago were asking if we had kid sizes for maybe just an Eager Beaver t-shirt, and we probably will now. Given that we found somebody to be able to press things on us with a cry cut. And
where we can actually turn a profit instead of lose money.
Yes, exactly. So because it's the same price as we're charging elsewhere, but now we have the ability to just ship them to you ourselves and print them on order. So and I believe that we could. I believe that they would be available in 4 colors as well for shirts if you would want them. Don't know what the colors are, however. But yes, I think we'll be Miss Shadika. Yeah, it was you asked. So yes, kid sizes. I think we will be able to do that. So if you send your information, your mailing address, and electronic transfer to truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. Tell us what you want, and we will do that. We will absolutely do that.
I will send
Get
you
one to
over
you.
some. I'll send you over some artwork so that you can forward that to Andrea, so she can start producing, more shirts.
Yep.
Does she do
Very
coffee
good.
mugs as well, or just shirts?
I'm not sure if she's got the one for coffee mugs. She might. I'll ask her, but I know that
Hey,
she
look,
can
let's
do.
start with shirts. We'll start with
Yeah,
shirts.
but she could do shirts, baseball caps, anything that's clothing that we
good.
can put on. So
Awesome.
so she can do that. But I believe she does have something for cups, but it might not be this something. But I will ask. So there you go. Please do. We would really appreciate that. Support the mental health walk. All net proceeds from the sales of T-shirts will go to our beneficiary organizations. Right now we have one, so I should say beneficiary organization, but we're hoping to get 1 or 2 before 2 more before the 15th.
I can't believe that's like 8 days from now.
I know, it's so fast.
Well,
All
where
right.
the heck?
Pardon?
Well, it's come by so quick. It's just snuck up on me. Then again,
Yeah.
I'm working. I might get, if I'm lucky, I will get 1 hour to 90 minutes of personal time to myself a day.
Yeah.
That's how busy I am right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking when I say that. It's like literally get home, take the dog for a walk, have a quick bite, visit with Bridget, do some more work, take the dog for another walk, maybe get an hour, and then off to bed. It's just been a complete insanity for me for the last little while. So tonight, as you know, I don't do any editing. I don't do any work on Friday evenings. And because I'm in the office today, usually when I'm at home, I can do my job and I can do this and I can do some editing and that. But I'm in the office today, so I'm not going to get any editing done today. And tomorrow, I'm going to be doing housework from 8 to noon, and then after that, I'm doing nothing. I'm going to get some rest. I'm going to chill out. I'm going to relax. Sunday, I will try and get caught up on some of the edits that need to be done for this, because I am a day or 2 behind, and I have to correct 1 or 2 things. But it's just my workload's been nuts lately. And a week from now, I don't know if I'll have a workload. So
Yeah. I'm still 2 weeks behind on episode descriptions. I got to 1 week behind, but then this week got away from me again as well. And we have people working on the house because the siding is being applied, and it's so noisy. It's impossible to focus.
Yeah.
So I've fallen behind. But my goal was to try.
Even with noise canceling headphones, it's not enough.
Yeah, but my goal was to try and get us all caught up so that the people listening on podcasts can support the mental health walk before it happens.
Yeah,
because they're getting all the information late, and we still, I think, what is it? I'm not sure. I haven't seen the numbers for a while, but at one point we're having 3,000 downloads per month, right? So that's
we're getting
3,000
4,000
opportunities. There you go. That's but all those people are not getting the information on time. So yes, but we will. I will try to crank those out on the weekend. Just do a push and get them out. All right. Because democracy is something that you do, if please write your letters to Veterans Affairs, because just because D-Day is over doesn't mean we stop thinking about our vets. Write your letters to them, ask them, and to the Minister of Veterans Affairs, Jeanette Petitpas-Taylor, and ask them to do better and more for our veterans, to thank them. And remember, at least for us, those of us that are on the conservative side of the ledger, it's really, 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 really important for us to stand up for our veterans, because our veterans stood up for us when they told us to vote ABC.
Mm-hmm.
That movement, the vote ABC thing, started with the veterans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So,
and my father, who was, he doesn't have a party affiliation, but he's, conservative, I'd say, for a large part of his life. He stopped voting conservative a long time ago. I don't know who he's voting for. It's none of my business. He's very private about it. And I'm like, that's fine. But I know he doesn't vote conservative anymore because he's like, that son of a bitch O'Toole. what he did to the veterans, closing veterans affairs. And he was a veteran.
Yes, they had their own kind do it to him. He did it to his own kind.
Exactly.
Just like Melissa Landsman does it to her own kind. Just like Leslie Lewis does it to her own kind.
Yep.
They like people who will sell out their own kind. They really like them.
Ever.
Yeah. So write those letters. Support our veterans. They stand up for us, even long after their service is over. They keep standing up for us, so we stand up for them. All right. If you are in Alberta, please get involved in the NDP leadership race. It is the most important one, and you actually have a race, so get involved. Provincial politics is where it's at. Party politics is where it's at. You want to have the best candidate possible to go up against Danielle Smith. Make sure the best one wins by getting involved. Right? And if you happen to live in Saskatchewan, British Columbia, or in New Brunswick, please get involved there, because you have provincial elections coming up. See if you can work at a polling station. And there's been some recent data coming in from British Columbia, and it seems that there is a bit, the gap between the sort of Unite the Right movement that was there in the NDP is starting to grow a little bit again. So the novelty with the Unite the Right may have hit its peak at the moment, and it's going to settle into where they'll stand in the lead up to the race. All right. It could be a tough world out there, kids and cubs. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And this weekend, if you have the opportunity, please do something nice for yourself. Treat yourself. Your Queen Beaver commands you to treat yourself. Let it be done. Okay. Mr. Grizzly, you gave us the words of wisdom, unless you got more.
Not really. I think we're already there. When you go to vote, make an informed decision, of course. Consider that the person you're voting for, if you want to vote Conservative, consider that, that party might not be in your best interest, or the best interest of your friends, neighbors, colleagues, family members. Just a consideration. That's all.
Indeed. I'm going to some of the kids had asked us to put up the email address again so that they can get a proper spell check for sending their details, their shipping address. So remember, $35, your shipping address so we can get it to you, and the size. We know that we need those three things. Okay? Mr. Grizzly will put the email address up there in the chat for the kits that are there. truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com for those listening at home. All right. Mr. Grizzly, cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors. The Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community. And The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. Well, my screen is frozen, so I don't know if we're doing an Easter egg. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Very, very quick one. It's a dad joke.
Okay.
Why should you never make plans with a croissant?
Why?
They're very flaky. My birthday present. I love it.
Okay, I heard one. I gotta recite it to you. It's a good dad joke, actually. I thought it was quite funny. Let me find it here. Yeah, here it is. So this is for iPhone users, I guess, or Apple product users. The sky was looking ominous, so I asked Siri, "Surely it's not going to rain today?" And she replied, "Yes, it is, and don't call me Shirley."
Shirley.
That was when I realized I'd left my phone on
airplane mode. You need to be a certain age to get that joke.
I love that. It has levels. I like it.
See ya.
All right. See ya.